Chapter 479. With that said, Pei Yunj only curved her eyes and looked at them expressionlessly. Jin Jiheng was the first to react. He looked like a fan indulging his idol and said in a daze, "Good, very good." Pei Yunj glanced at Arn as if nothing had happened and returned to her seat. All the contestants present were stunned. Even old Master Bo was stunned. Wasn't this young lady a little too wild? She even dared to scold the head examiner like this? The strangest thing was that Mr. Jin Jiheng actually listened to her. Then, even Arn gritted his teeth and sat down as if he had swallowed the humiliation. Everyone. What kind of confusing scene was this? Everyone continued preparing. Next. Jin Jiheng was the first to react. He could tell that Pei Yunj did not want to reveal her identity, so he continued with the selection. When everyone saw this scene, they knew that the young lady at the end should be a very powerful big shot. It was very likely that one of the spots in the International Musicians Association would land on her. Everyone's thoughts ran wild as they continued to prepare for the assessment. At the same time, to Pei Yunj's surprise, old Master Bo walked in front of her. "Miss, thank you." "You're welcome." Pei Yunj did not want to be recognized, so she did not raise her head and just said casually, "Miss, your violin skills are really good." Old Master Bo was a little nervous as he rubbed his hands carefully. "Can you teach me? I can pay you." "Pei Yunj. I'm usually not free." She did not want to take in any more students. 3 of them were more than enough for her. "I see." Old Master Bo was a little disappointed. Then he said to her sincerely, "You're very good. There will definitely be a spot for you in the International Musicians Association this time. All the best." "Pei Yunj. Thank you. Prepare well for the last round and fight for a spot." Hearing this, old Master Bo could not help but look at Pei Yunj. This young lady's tone sounded as if she was determined to get him into the 4th round. "I hope so." Old Master Bo sighed and put on his top hat again. After saying goodbye to Pei Yunj, he left the 12th floor. This continued until the end of the 3rd round. Arn originally wanted to ask Pei Yunj the reason why she didn't directly reveal her identity. Instead, she deliberately wanted to embarrass him. However, he didn't expect that he wouldn't even see Pei Yunj after everything was over. Arn was so angry that he threw everything on the table away. Jin Jiheng furrowed his brows at the sight of this. Du Xiao was also trying to make Yuan happy during this selection. Yin was not willing to come, so they helped to choose her. If Yuan was willing to come, they were just decorations. Wasn't this clear from the start? However, Arn was a decisive person who did everything according to his own ideas. But it was obvious that Yuan was not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, looking at the president's posture, Yuan was very likely to be the next president of the International Musicians Association. Why can't Arn understand this little hint? In a corner, Arn was talking to someone on the phone with an unpleasant expression. "Miss, I saw Yuan. She's not easy to deal with at all." Fortunately, Yuan wasn't here when Qin Youjiao was performing. "That's good. It's fine as long as Qin Youjiao can pass this time." The mysterious woman smiled. Hearing this, Arn could not help but tell her about what happened this time. However, the woman only smiled. "Arn, don't be too anxious. I'll help you get rid of Yuan. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes." Chapter 480. Hearing the woman say this, Arn was still worried. Du Xiao likes her so much. How can he give up on her? Then let him have no choice but to give up. The woman's tone was relaxed, as if this problem could be solved easily. "You did very well this time to inform me in time. I didn't expect Du Xiao to investigate so quickly." Fortunately, Qin Youjiao didn't perform that song. When the woman said this, her tone was cold. This Yuan was really a difficult character to deal with. She really had to put in some effort to get rid of her. Otherwise, if such a person entered the top circle of country R, it might cause a lot of trouble for her. When Pei Yunj returned to the Qin family's old mansion, the butler told her that old Master Qin had brought a bunch of tonics and gifts to visit his ward mate. Ward mate? Pei Yunj did not expect old Master Qin's social skills to be so strong. "Yes, I think it's a patient in the ward next door. He lost a leg a year ago." When the old master could get out of bed and walk, he ran to the ward next door almost every day. Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and nodded. Okay, I got it. After chatting, Bei Yunj went upstairs to continue her research project. Until Sunday, Bei Yunj suddenly remembered that Huashidu had said that he would bring her to the auction. At this thought, Bei Yunj finally opened the door and went to the other end of the corridor to knock on the door of a guest room. Soon, the door to the guest room opened. Huashidu glanced at the little girl in front of him carelessly and walked in. Come in. Bei Yunj did not hesitate and followed Huashidu in. After all, she had stayed in this guest room before. Brother, when are we going to the auction? Bei Yunj had checked the auction before, and it seemed that the items auctioned were not bad. Hearing this, Huashidu turned around and glanced up and down at Bei Yunj, his gaze landing on her straight and slender legs. His eyes were half dark with an inexplicable desire, but his voice was calm and composed. Change your clothes and we can prepare to leave. After Huashidu finished speaking, Bei Yunj finally reacted. She had only put on a loose white t-shirt and immediately went back to her room to change. After going downstairs, she saw that the man had already changed into an exquisite handmade black suit. His eyebrows were handsome and noble, and his pair of light-colored eyes were drooping, making the corners of his eyes look seductive and lazy. Yet she was cold and unapproachable. Bei Yunj could not help but look at Huashidu. Suddenly, the man put the newspaper on the table and stood up again. Yin. Bei Yunj subconsciously looked up. We'll see when we get in the car. Don't be late. The corners of Huashidu's thin red lips curled up slightly. Bei Yunj. At the auction. At 7:30, it was already very lively. A woman in a long blue dress walked in with a young man with deep eyes and eyebrows. Miss Bo, I knew you would come too. Bo Jinxiao smiled and said gently, the elders in the family like the auction item this time very much, so they specially came to take a look. This is... The woman beside her glanced at the boy beside her hesitantly. This is Ziyuan's younger brother Zhixing. Bo Jinxiao introduced him to her. So it's the second young master of the Chu family. Admiration immediately appeared in the woman's eyes. As expected of Bo Jinxiao, she had already built a good relationship with the second young master of the Chu family, before marrying into the Chu family. Chapter 481. The woman laughed again and teased. Second young master Chu has lost so much weight that I almost couldn't recognize him. However, the Chu family's genes are indeed top-notch. Second young master's looks aren't any worse than eldest young master's. Okay, Zhixing is thin-skinned. Stop teasing him, Bo Jinxiao said with a smile. Our Chu family's future young madam is starting to protect her younger brother now? The woman said this and did not notice that Chu Zhixing's eyes darkened when he heard this. I've always treated Zhixing as my younger brother. Don't talk nonsense. Bo Jinxiao's words made Chu Zhixing look at Bo Jinxiao again, and he could not help but feel disappointed. Actually, he already knew that the only person Bo Jinxiao liked was his brother. At this thought, Chu Zhixing found an excuse with Bo Jinxiao and went to the washroom alone. At this moment, the woman continued to smile. You're the most envious person in our industry. Bo Jinxiao only smirked and sat in the hall, drinking black tea. However, in the next moment, the woman's words made her froze. However, I heard that the person from the Hua family came to the auction. He's in the VIP room on the top floor. Changing the topic, the woman probed. Jinxiao, didn't you like to transition when you were in high school? The desserts at the auction were all made by the masters of our country. They indeed taste very good. Bo Jinxiao interrupted her and then smiled at her, her tone gentle. In the past, I was still young and ignorant. I didn't know what the difference in status was. After I found out, I didn't dare to take that step even if I had the chance. Hearing this, the woman seemed to have heard something was wrong. You didn't confess to that person back then? The woman asked in surprise. Bo Jinxiao smiled and said nothing. However, the woman had been thinking about Bo Jinxiao's ambiguous words. Suddenly, she blurted out in surprise. Could it be that Master Du actually had a good impression of you back then? Okay. I only have Ziyuan in my heart now. Bo Jinxiao smiled and continued to drink her black tea. However, the woman felt like she had been struck by lightning and could not believe it for a moment. After all, the rumor back then that Bo Jinxiao was infatuated with Huashidu and had confessed to him in high school. However, Huashidu was an unreachable existence in the eyes of others, so it was understandable for Bo Jinxiao to be rejected. Even then, Bo Jinxiao was the most popular socialite in the industry. However, as the heir of the Hua family, Bo Jinxiao was indeed not qualified to be Huashida's fiancé. Therefore, everyone discussed this matter for more than half a year. However, not long after, Bo Jinxiao actually got together with Chu Ziyuan. It really made one sigh. "Kuei-chiao, are you talking about?" The woman stopped mid-sentence, her heart filled with envy and pity for Bo Jinxiao. So Master Du really had feelings for Bo Jinxiao. What shocked her even more was that Bo Jinxiao had rejected Master Du. If it were anyone else who would be willing to do that? The woman believed Bo Jinxiao's words. After all, those rumors were definitely not as real as what she had said herself. However, when the woman left, Bo Jinxiao no longer looked as calm as before. Instead, she looked at the exclusive staircase of the VIP room on the top floor from time to time. Her eyes darkened, and she couldn't help but tighten her grip on the spoon. But after a while he let go. Forget it, Huashida didn't only treat her that way. It was just that no one could catch his eye. Chapter 482. Before Bo Jinxiao could look away, a familiar person suddenly came down from upstairs. Bei Yunj. She clenched her fists instinctively and her gaze changed. Bei Yunj had come down from the top floor just now. There were only 2 sets of VIP rooms on the top floor of this building. One of them must have been arranged for Huashidu. She did not know who had booked the other set for the time being. But it was definitely not the Qin family. Then why did Bei Yunj come down from the exclusive elevator on the top floor? At this moment, Bei Yunj did not notice Bo Jinxiao's gaze and only made a call impatiently. "Are you not here yet? Wait a little longer. I'm almost there." The person on the other end of the call wished he could fly over with a call. It was not easy for him to find out from Delaney that Bei Yunj did not teach today and had come to attend the auction. Of course he wanted to see Bei Yunj. 5 minutes. Bei Yunj gave him a time limit and hung up the call swiftly. On the other end of the call, Vic was speechless. The secretary, who did not notice anything, even pushed up his glasses and said to Vic, "Boss, there are a few teams in the maps of the gods and a few partners in Yinqing looking for you. Tell them to stop bothering me." With that said, Vic stood up and leaned close to the driver, shouting hysterically, "What's going on? Can you move the car? Can you move it a little?" How long had this road been stuck for? Why was it so congested? The driver said, "Boss, this highway will be stuck for at least 15 minutes. Vic was speechless. Then why did I come out so late at night? Wake was in a bad mood as he collapsed on the leather sofa. The secretary asked carefully, "Are you still going to the auction?" "Yes," Vic said weakly. Yao Yao Literature Network, no matter what, even if they waited until the auction ended, it would be good to be able to block the entrance. The secretary did not know who his boss was going to see for him to be so anxious. Then if they want to see you, let them come to the auction? Whatever. Wake's eyes were closed and he looked indifferent. On the other side, Bei Yunj sat on the sofa in the living room and waited for about 10 minutes. However, Vic was still nowhere to be seen. She pursed her lips and didn't wait any longer. Instead, she returned to the top floor. At this moment, not far away, Bo Jinxiao saw Bei Yunj take the exclusive elevator to the top floor. For a moment, an absurd and outrageous guess suddenly rushed into her mind. Bei Yunj was on the top floor. Did she know Huashidu? That was not right. Impossible. With Bei Yunj's status, how could she meet Huashidu? Just as Bo Jinxiao was deep in thought, Chu Zhixing returned. "Guangqiao, what are you thinking about?" Chu Zhixing sat opposite Bo Jinxiao. A dark look flashed past Bo Jinxiao's eyes and she glanced at Chu Zhixing, smiling. "It's nothing. By the way, I think I saw Bei Yunj just now. Are you close to Bei Yunj?" "Yes." Chu Zhixing poured himself a cup of tea. Suddenly he heard her say, "Just now, I think I saw her enter the top floor. But with the Qin family's power, It's not enough for them to know the person on the top floor of the auction, right? Bo Jinxiao was testing him. Under normal circumstances, Chu Zhixing would have told her without thinking. However, to her surprise, Chu Zhixing's hand that was pouring tea stopped and he said. Chapter 483. The smile on Bo Jinxiao's face froze slightly. Zhixing, are you wary of me? I won't tell anyone about Master Pei. Chu Zhixing liked Bo Jinxiao, but he could not tolerate anyone hurting Bei Yunj. Bo Jinxiao clearly did not expect Chu Zhixing to protect Bei Yunj so much, and an uncomfortable feeling rose in her heart. Even if she did not like Chu Zhixing, Bo Jinxiao hid the darkness in her eyes and said, but I heard that the new young lady of the Qin family doesn't seem to have any friends in the industry. Zhixing, I'm thinking for you. Do you want to find such a person to be your friend? At first, Bo Jinxiao was just testing him. However, she did not expect that when Chu Zhixing heard this, the warmth in his eyes completely disappeared. He wiped the corners of his mouth and stood up. I have something on. I'll go back first. With that said, Chu Zhixing really stood up and prepared to leave. This made Bo Jinxiao's expression change, and she clenched her fists tightly. This was the first time Chu Zhixing had treated her like this. In the past, as long as he was by her side, he would stick to her. At this moment, before Chu Zhixing could leave, a voice suddenly sounded from behind him. Zhixing, where do you want to go? Chu Zhixing turned around and saw Chu Ziyuan in a blue suit. He frowned. Brother. Chu Ziyuan had heard the conversation between Chu Zhixing and Bo Jinxiao just now and felt that Bo Jinxiao was right. Not to mention that the young lady of the Qin family had a bad reputation. Besides, now the Chu family and the Xiao family had an unusual relationship. As the second young master of the Chu family, how could Chu Zhixing play with the young lady of the Qin family? Jinxiao is right. Zhixing, aren't you going to pay attention to your identity? Chu Ziyuan's voice was cold and serious. The Xiao family and the Qin family don't have a good relationship. You should interact less with the Qin family. As a member of the Chu family, you should have the Chu family's standpoint. Really? Chu Zhixing suddenly asked in return. Then, before Chu Ziyuan could react, he heard Chu Zhixing laugh carelessly. His deep eyes were calm, but his tone was firm. But my standpoint will always be Bei Yunj. After that, Chu Zhixing picked up his suit jacket and prepared to leave. This made Chu Ziyuan's gaze darken and he clenched his fists again. In the past, Chu Zhixing would never disobey him. If father finds out that you're hanging out with such a person, do you think you'll still be able to get anything from the Chu family? Chu Ziyuan said again. It doesn't matter. I'll give it to you if you want it. Chu Zhixing's words made Chu Ziyuan's face turn even darker. Chu Zhixing. Chu Ziyuan said coldly, if you walk out of the auction today, don't even think about going to country or to study. These words immediately made Chu Zhixing stop in his tracks. But in the next moment, someone put their shoulder on Chu Zhixing's shoulder. It's all right, I'll send you there. Chu Zhixing looked up and saw Qin Lang's cynical look. Qin Lang put one hand on Chu Zhixing's shoulder and smiled casually. President Chu, it's not a big deal. Why are you being so calculative with the child? This is the Chu clan's business. Chu Ziyuan's face was cold. President Chu, because of my sister, you don't let your brother study. As his brother, I naturally have to be responsible. When Qin Lang walked in, he also heard Chu Ziyuan and Chu Zhixing's conversation. Chapter 484. President Chu, the CEO of EG, is here. Chu Ziyuan's expression changed, and Qin Lang and the team members behind him also looked more serious. It was obvious that their target was the CEO of EG Corporation. EG Corporation was not only involved in the gaming industry, but also in many electronic industries. This time, since the CEO of EG could come to Yunqing personally, everyone naturally thought of ways to make connections. Qin Lang did not even look up. Instead, he pulled Chu Zhixing to sit in a corner. Brother Lang, didn't the boss ask us to talk business? The other three team members looked at each other. You're going to talk? Qin Lang sat lazily on the sofa, scrolling through his moments and drinking a glass of juice with a straw. The team members shut up. Captain Qin, aren't you afraid that the boss will go crazy if you go against him? Suddenly, Chu Zhixing, who was beside him, glanced at the background of Qin Lang's moments. Your background? Isn't it nice? I took it secretly last time. Qin Lang smiled lazily. There's no need to be too restrained. You can call me third brother like Gu'er. Chu Zhixing nodded and looked away from the background picture, but he did not say anything. Given Master Pei's temper, if she knew that her photo had been placed in the background of his moments, something was going to happen. However, this photo was rather blurry. One could only vaguely see Bei Yunji's bright eyes and the cold light in her eyes. Probably only those who had seen Bei Yunji before would be able to recognize her. After a while, Chu Zhixing saw Chu Ziyuan standing with an unfamiliar boy. Qin Lang recognized that person. It was Xiaozhi. Thank you for the news, young Master Xiao. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that the CEO of EG Corporation is coming to the auction. Xiaozhi laughed nonchalantly. I don't know why the CEO of EG would come here on a whim. Anyway, our Chu and Xiao families are in a cooperative relationship. Naturally, we hope for a win-win situation. Chu Ziyuan smiled. At this moment, everyone also noticed that some big shots that were rarely seen were gathered in the hall. Even the eldest young master of the Chu family had appeared. But soon, everyone's doubts were resolved. At the door, a foreign man in a black trench coat walked in hurriedly while talking on the phone, followed by two assistants. It's Mr. Vic. Everyone exclaimed. Many people recognized that this was the founder of EG Corporation, Vic. In the past few years, EG Corporation had been evaluated as the company with the most potential in our nation. It had also maintained deep cooperation with Delaney Corporation. He was also one of the key partners in the country, hoping to expand the overseas market in country R. It was no wonder why there were so many important figures here. As expected, the people from the Chu family and the Xiao family were the first to step forward. However, Wei! Before Chu Ziyuan could speak, Vic suddenly reached out his hand and gestured for him to stay away. Don't tell me you blacklisted me? Why can't I get through? Wake wasn't in the mood to pay attention to others. As for the two assistants behind him, they were already used to it. Every month, the boss would always have a few days. Everyone could see that Wake seemed to be calling a very important person, so they didn't say anything. But who would have thought? Wake had been on the phone for 10 minutes. No one knew what kind of god was on the other end of the phone, but he had no intention of answering. Who was this person? How dare he ignore the big boss like this? Chapter 485. 10 minutes passed again. The auction had started. Vic, who still did not get through, was speechless. Very good. As expected of someone who was cold and heartless. Soon, Vic called his cousin Delaney for help, but he didn't expect that he would only be insulted by his cousin's intelligence. This world was too hypocritical. Vic cursed and went straight to the nearest sofa to sit down. Qin Lang, who was beside him, felt someone sitting beside him and leaned to the side in disdain. Vic was speechless. Qin Lang's team members were speechless. Brother Lang, are you really not afraid that the maps of the gods will ban us? Vic took a deep breath and glanced at Chu Ziyuan and the rest in front of him. His tone was cold. What's the matter? The assistant beside him could not help but look at Vic. He really did not need to learn how to change his expression. I'm the CEO of the Chu Group, Chu Ziyuan. I'm the captain of the KMO team, Xiaozhi. I'm also the heir of the Xiao family. Why are you looking for me? Vic took off his windbreaker and did not even look up. It was obvious that he was not interested in them. This made Chu Ziyuan and Xiaozhi fall into an awkward silence. Suddenly, Bo Jinxiao laughed. I heard that Mr. Vic's Maps of the Gods was designed in high school. My teacher, Shirley, likes you very much. Shirley? Your teacher is my high school classmate? Vic looked up and asked. Yes, Miss Shirley often talks to me about you, said March. Hearing that it was an acquaintance's name, the alienation and coldness in Vic's eyes dissipated. The people around them could not help but be envious. Even though Miss Bo Jinxiao had gone overseas, her connections were only better. It seemed like Bo Jinxiao's return this time would be the time for her to suppress the entire industry. Soon, Bo Jinxiao said casually, I heard that the Qin family and EG only signed a project for a year? Yes, because there's a new project. Vic did not intend to tell the public too much about this, so he only brushed it off. Hearing this, Bo Jinxiao laughed and her slender fingers gently tucked her hair behind her ear. That's a pity. I heard that the Qin family has been in contact with other projects recently. Perhaps EG is not their first choice. At this moment, Qin Lang and Chu Zhixing's expressions changed and they looked up at Bo Jinxiao. But now, only Bo Jinxiao could speak in front of Vic thinking of this. Qin Lang and the other man could not help but look at Vic true enough. Vic's face darkened, and the spoon he was using to insert the cake paused for a moment. He didn't look too happy. Vic sneered and asked, "Whose project is the Qin family's first choice?" She actually dared to snatch his job. "I'm not sure either. I only know that the Qin family's thoughts don't seem to be on EG's project." With that said, Qin Lang scoffed. "Why? Miss Bo has just returned, and you already know so much about the Qin family? You must be joking." "I've only heard about it." With that said, Bo Jinxiao turned to look at Chu Ziyuan and Xiao Ji, revealing a gentle smile before she turned to look at Vic. "Actually, the Chu family and the Xiao family are good candidates for cooperation. If EG has any more cooperation, you can consider the Chu family and the Xiao family." These words made Chu Ziyuan and Xiao Ji admire Bo Jinxiao a little, and their impression of her improved greatly. Chapter 486. Let's talk about it later. Vic looked listless. He only hoped that the Qin family could give him some face. Even if the focus of the project was not on him, at least establish a long-term friendship. Otherwise, would they still remember him? At this moment, Qin Lang's eyes darkened. He put his phone on the table and was about to say something to Vic. But in the next moment, Vic suddenly bent down and picked up the teapot to pour water. He just ignored him. Qin Lang. Then just as Qin Lang was about to discuss the Qin family with Vic again, his phone vibrated and lit up, and the teapot in Vic's hand suddenly shook for no reason. It spilled directly on the coffee table. The next moment, Vic was quick to react and actually saved Qin Lang's phone first. But his own phone was ignored. Everyone. Mr. Vic had such good qualities? Sacrificing himself to save others? Who didn't know the importance of these businessmen's phones? Every phone call cost an incomparably high amount of money. But now they actually saw Vic take away Qin Lang's phone first. Did he recognize the wrong phone? Just as everyone was confused, Vic heaved a long sigh of relief and carefully looked at the wallpaper lock screen of the phone. "Whose phone is this?" "Mine." Qin Lang directly snatched the phone and turned off the screen. It seemed that he was not polite to Vic at all. The team members next to him were so scared that they almost had a heart attack. But then Vic's reaction made people feel even more stunned. "That, sir, the picture on your phone is..." Vic unconsciously rubbed his hands and was slightly nervous. "My sister, Lu Julin." Qin Lang looked at Vic warily and felt that there was something wrong with this person's gaze. He had been staring at his lock screen just now. He clearly had thoughts about his gu, or that he shouldn't have. Then where is she now? Vic's eyes lit up when he heard that. He could actually meet her brother like this. Wasn't he too lucky? Qin Lang saw that this man in his 40s was so interested in a little girl who was not even 20 years old, and the temperature in his eyes suddenly turned cold. He smiled slightly. "Somewhere you can't find. Vic. Everyone. This person was really tough." "That you misunderstood. I know why. Miss Pei, so I want to meet her." After Vic finished speaking, he looked at Qin Lang with sincerity. "Can you introduce me?" However, when everyone heard this, their bodies trembled. Does Mr. Vic know Bei Yunch? How is this possible? Isn't this Mr. Vic's first time in Yuncheng? At this moment, Bo Jinxiao's face turned green and her mind was in a mess. She did not expect Bei Yunch to have the ability to connect with the president of EG Corporation. Qin Lang saw that Vic didn't seem to be lustful either, so he asked slowly, "You're Guer's friend? How did you know each other?" When Vic heard this, he smiled a little embarrassedly. "Not yet. Miss Pei and I sort of met online." Qin Lang? Question mark. Everyone? Question mark. No matter how he listened to it, It sounded like Vic was trying to seduce Pei Yunj. Guor should be doing her homework at home. Wake immediately shook his head. Miss Pei is at the auction. I came for Miss Pei. Mr. Qin, can you do me a favor? He added aggrievedly. I came more than 10 minutes late. Miss Pei seems to be angry. Chapter 487. At this moment, everyone seemed to have been struck by lightning, their eyes filled with shock. What did he mean? Mr. Vic had come today to look for Bei Yunj? Was he crazy? You mean you came here today to look for Guor? Qin Lang asked the question that everyone wanted to know as well. Yes. Wake sighed, his tone gloomy. Hearing this, Xiaoji, who had been looking smug just now, had an ugly expression. Chu Ziyuan and Bo Jinxiao's smiles gradually disappeared. Vic said, You're the Qin families. My name is Qin Lang. I'm Guor's third brother, Qin Lang said. Vic's eyes lit up, and he was slightly excited. Third brother, hello third brother. Qin Lang looked at this man who was older than him and resisted the urge to hit him. Just call me Qin Lang. Anything is fine. Vic smiled and remembered Bo Jinxiao's words just now. He hurriedly said, By the way, there's something I want to know. Who is the Qin Corporation's first choice to work with? I don't mean anything else. I just think that our EG isn't bad either. Don't you think so? Bo Jinxiao's face was about to turn into a color palette. It turned red and green. Who would have thought that Mr. Vic would actually lower himself so much just to cooperate with the Qin family? But the Qin family was clearly not one of the top families in Yincheng. My brother, Qin Luyan, is in charge of the corporation. Why don't you make an appointment with him? Vic nodded profusely. Okay. Then, he could not help but be curious. Then, when does Miss Pei plan to work in the company? Grr. Qin Lang was stunned for a moment before he said, My Gu, or doesn't know much about business. My brother probably won't arrange for her to work in the company. With the three of them around, why would Guor still work? It was fine as long as she was healthy and happy every day. This was also the only request the three members of the Qin family had for Bei Yunj. However, hearing this, Vic's eyes became complicated and filled with disbelief. Did she not know about business? As a genius capitalist who was known as a once-in-a-century genius, Delaney had been sucked dry by Bei Yunj so many times. How could she not understand? Looking around, who else in our nation could suck the blood of the Drenii? At this moment, Vic looked at Qin Lang suspiciously with a look that said, Don't tell me your Qin family is a liar who pretends to be a pig to eat the tiger. Qin Lang didn't pay attention to Vic's expression. Instead, he called Bei Yunj. But in the end, he couldn't get through either. I didn't get through. Qin Lang's eyes darkened as he replied honestly. He also knew that Guor's relationship with him was still very distant. Even Qin Luyan and Qin Yu were no exception. Sometimes it was just to give face to the old man. On the top floor, Assistant Sung glanced at the person by the coffee table, and then at Huashidu, who was sitting on the sofa. Not long after, Assistant Sung couldn't help but ask when he felt Pei Qingfeng's gaze sweep over him for the 7th time. Master Du, I don't think this is a good idea. The man lifted his thin eyelids lazily. His pale-colored pupils were abstruse, but the corners of his eyes were curled up seductively. The 2 buttons on his shirt collar were loose. He exuded a cold and lustful aura. Miss Pei, you must be tired from studying. It's good to relax now. Chapter 488. The man's well-defined hand tidied the black hair on the side of Bei Yunj's cheek. Yun doesn't like to study? Bei Yunj said. I like it. With that said, Bei Yunj glanced at Assistant Sung slowly with a cold gaze. Because these exercise books were brought over by Assistant Sung, they were also bought by Assistant Sung. Huashidu saw that Bei Yunj was doing it slowly and asked again. You don't know these questions? Didn't you get first place in the physics competition last time? This is mathematics. It's more difficult, Bei Yunj said calmly. Hearing this, a mischievous look flashed across Huashida's pale-colored eyes, but he did not expose her. He pretended not to remember that Bei Yunj was liked by the mathematics professor of Neely University. After you're done with this question, rest. The auction is about to start. When Bei Yunj heard this, she immediately finished the last question, although she was a little slow under Hoshida's gaze. But compared to the dilly-dallying just now, this was godly speed. When Hoshida saw this, he understood. Brother, my phone. After Bei Yunj was done, she knocked on the coffee table with her index finger and reminded him. Hearing this, Hoshida took the phone that Bei Yunj had placed on the sofa and handed it to her. At this moment, Bei Yunj realized that she had received many missed calls. 9 from Vic and 3 from Qin Lang. Bei Yunj felt a little strange, but seeing that the auction had started, she did not care much and only sent them a message. Halfway through the auction, Bei Yunj saw a call from Vic. She left the private room and went downstairs before answering the call. It was only after Bei Yunj finished listening to Vic's long speech on the phone that she hung up the call after making an appointment. But she did not want to. Bei Yunj was about to leave when a voice suddenly sounded behind her. What a coincidence. Miss Pei is here too. Bei Yunj glanced at her and nodded lazily. Then, she turned around and prepared to leave. However, in the next moment, perhaps, men will feel a sense of novelty towards a young girl like Miss Pei. Bo Jinxiao's voice sounded clearly. Miss Bo, do you mean that your boyfriend will also be interested in young girls? Bei Yunj stopped and laughed lazily. Then she raised her eyebrows at her. She was so beautiful that it was beyond compare. Bo Jinxiao's expression changed. You. But don't worry. I'm not that kind of person. Bei Yunj's eyes were languid, and the corners of her lips curled up playfully. She said arrogantly, you should know that people who hook up with other people's boyfriends are all trash. Bei Yunj. Bo Jinxiao's expression darkened. How could she not know that Bei Yunj was scolding her? Back then, she was the one who ruined the relationship between Yu Manran and Chu Ziyuan, and they became a perfect couple in everyone's eyes. What's wrong, Miss Bo? I hope you don't mind if I poke at your sore spot. Bei Yunj looked at her with curved eyes. At this moment, Bo Jinxiao was fuming with anger. Soon she laughed coldly. I've asked. There's only one VIP room on the top floor today. Did Master Du bring you here? Bo Jinxiao stared at Bei Yunj and chuckled. Actually, I also feel very sorry for Master Du. I chose to be with Ziyuan back then. It's good that you can take care of Master Du for me. These words were a disguised declaration of sovereignty. She was hinting to Bei Yunj that Hoshidu had different feelings for her back then. Miss Bo, only people who are exasperated can't control themselves. Chapter 489. The natural smile on Bo Jinxiao's face froze and she clenched her fists tightly. This Bei Yunj was much more difficult to deal with than Yu Manran. Really? But Miss Pei, do you really think you're that special? Bo Jinxiao asked with a soft smile. Bei Yunj looked at her for a while, and the smile on his lips suddenly deepened. Miss Bo won't know how special I am, but soon Miss Bo will know how special you are. With that said, at first, Bo Jinxiao did not realize what was going on. But suddenly, Yun. Bo Jinxiao froze. Of course she knew whose voice it was. At this moment, Bei Yunj looked up and stared at a man who was too attractive. Hoshidu walked over and reached out lazily to pinch Bei Yunj's cheek. Master Du, this person seems to be your old acquaintance. Bei Yunj said with a smile. In Hoshida's opinion, this child was heartless. It was impossible for his appearance not to be attractive. Why are you staring at me like that? However, hearing Bei Yunj's words just now, Bo Jinxiao felt embarrassed and had to say, Master Du, long time no see. Bo Jinxiao kept staring at Hoshidu. Bei Yunj, who was beside her, held Hoshidu's hand and stroked the man's palm with his fingertips. Hearing this, Hoshidu furrowed his eyebrows unconsciously and looked up at Bo Jinxiao calmly. Such close contact and eye contact made Bo Jinxiao freeze, and she was at a loss. Seeing this, Bo Jinxiao felt a stab in her heart. It was her first time seeing Hoshidu indulge someone like this. At this moment, the man looked down, his thin red lips curled up, and he scratched Bei Yunj's chin to comfort her. Stop it, it's itchy. At this moment, it was only then that Hoshidu remembered that there was someone else. He looked up and said slowly, You are? Vic happened to call her at the same time. Bei Yunj also let go of Hoshida's hand and went to the side to answer the call. Only Bo Jinxiao and Bo Jinxiao were left on the court. I am. Actually, who you are doesn't mean anything to me. These words made Bo Jinxiao's face flushed red and she clenched her fists subconsciously. Who would be willing to let the man she had admired not remembered her name? I'm sorry, your liking me is nothing. A few years had passed, but the man had not changed much. He had only become more outstanding. He was still in existence that she could not reach. Huashidu lazily took out a cigarette from the cigarette box, his tone nonchalant. She remembered how Huashidu's words. She remembered how Huashidu had rejected her. Huashidu lit the cigarette at his fingertips and avoided her, sitting at the side. He leaned against the sofa loosely. Even the way he smoked looked very romantic, light and lazy. However, it was obvious that he was waiting for Pei Yunj. However, another woman had appeared by his side. Bo Jinxiao gritted her teeth. An emotion called jealousy became stronger and filled her mind. Bo Jinxiao bit her lip and walked in front of him again. When she saw Pei Yunj looking over from the corner of her eye, she sat opposite Huashidu and smiled shyly. However, she did not see the emotions in the man's eyes turn colder. Master Du, Miss Pei seems to be very good at socializing. Chapter 490. The man bit the cigarette, his well-defined hand playing with the silver lighter carelessly. There was no emotion in his tone. What else? The smile on Bo Jinxiao's face froze, and she could not understand what Huashidu meant. However, the next moment, she took a deep breath. Miss Pei seems to have a close relationship with EG's president. Master Du, I just want to remind you. I have no intention of interfering. Bo Jinxiao was very smart and knew that most men did not like others to interfere in their matters. Therefore, she was very good at acting in a pitiful manner. It made it impossible for ordinary people to dislike her. However, it was obvious that this trick would fail. Miss is quite concerned about my people. Huashida's tone was light, but she could hear the obvious coldness in the man's voice. Bo Jinxiao's heart tightened. She had not expected Huashida's attitude to be even clearer when she said this. This was the first time she had heard Huashidu admit that she was his person. Master Du, it's only because we've known each other for so long that There's one more thing. Miss, I hope you can keep a distance from my family in the future. The cigarette between the man's fingers had already been extinguished elegantly in the ashtray. She heard him say softly, "If this child believes anything, I'll be in trouble." He looked up, his eyes cold and distant. You too. With that said, Huashidu also stood up, having no intention of sitting at the same table as her. This made Bo Jinxiao feel that this was the most embarrassing moment of her life. She clenched her fists, her fingertips almost digging into her flesh. It was all because of Pei Yunj. She clearly wanted her to see Huashida's heartless side on purpose. Over here. Huashidu walked over. Are you done calling? Seeing that he had not even sat with Bo Jinxiao for a minute, Pei Yunj could not help asking. What did you say to her just now? It's nothing, Huashidu said slowly. She said that she got the wrong person. These words made Pei Yunj raise her eyebrows. When she turned around, she saw Bo Jinxiao gritting her teeth and staring at her with red eyes. He was not far away and clearly heard Huashida's words. Her brother was indeed an expert at destroying flowers. All right. Pei Yunj nodded and looked at Huashidu meaningfully. This made Huashidu reach out again and hold Pei Yunj's face. Pei Yunj's face was almost distorted by him. What are you doing? What did you call me just now? Huashida's thin red lips curved. Brother? Huashida did not speak. His slender hand slowly pinched her face in public. Pei Yunj felt the gazes around her and said in a low voice. Someone's here. Yes, I know. The man's tone was lazy and nonchalant, as if it was only natural. But in the eyes of others, a handsome and noble man and a beautiful and bright girl were so intimate in public. The scene was strangely sweet. What kind of heavenly scene was this? Why didn't they consider filming an idol drama? Besides, this man seemed very familiar. Pei Yunj thought for a while before she remembered. Master Du. The moment she finished speaking, she felt the evil hand on her face finally stop. However, the moment she looked up, She met the man's dark eyes, and then the man's low and hoarse chuckle sounded in her ears. Chapter 491. You're so obedient. She heard the man's low and magnetic laughter with some joy. Bei Yunj broke free from Hoshida's hand, but she had a premonition. Her face must have been rubbed red by this man. At this moment, after Bei Yunj felt the naked gazes around her, she was no longer interested in teasing Bo Jinxiao. She pursed her lips and glanced at Hoshidu, before she walked towards the stairs at the side. Yun, the stairs over there can't go to the top floor. Hoshidu could not help but smile silently when he saw that the girl seemed to be angry. I'll go to the third floor. Vic had just called her and said that he was on the third floor. Seeing that Bei Yunj did not look back, Hoshida's gaze landed on the junction between Bei Yunj's legs and the bottom of her skirt. Her skin was dazzlingly white and looked like it was about to expose her body. Hoshidu saw that the girl was angry and did not pull her into the elevator. Instead, he walked forward with his long legs. His handsome eyes were lazy and carefree, but he quickly took off his expensive black suit jacket and followed behind the little girl. Yun, slow down. Be careful not to fall. The man used his suit jacket to cover Bei Yunj's skirt, his tone light and helpless. The scene that fell into the eyes of others. It was the girl in front throwing a tantrum without looking back, while the handsome man behind her was holding a black suit jacket to cover her skirt. This action was extremely possessive. Ah, look over there. Her boyfriend is bursting with power. The girl beside her could not suppress her excitement and screamed. Isn't he doting on her too much? Did you see that young man? He's so handsome, he's a walking hormone. I announced that I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone. The envious voices around did not affect Bo Jinxiao's expression at all. She clenched her fists tightly as her heart ached from being stabbed. Search. At first, she thought that Hoshidu did not like anyone, so she did not take Hoshida's indifference to heart. But now, she actually saw another side of Hoshidu because of a woman. She thought that after Hoshidu finished chatting with her, Bei Yunj would come over to declare her sovereignty. But looking at this scene, it had always been men who were blatantly declaring their sovereignty. Bo Jinxiao almost felt that her face was swollen this time. Third floor. Bei Yunj glanced at Hoshidu, who was putting on his suit jacket. She did not know when Hoshidu had taken it off. Not long after. She pushed open the door to Vic's room. Why? Wake was just about to greet him warmly when he felt a cold breath next to him. When he glanced over and saw the face of the man beside him, he was completely stunned. It's you? When Bei Yunj heard this, she looked at Hoshidu. You know each other? Hoshida's eyes darkened as he glanced at Vic. He had no impression of Vic at all, but he probably knew why Vic knew him. Yes, a few years ago, I was in Fernan. Wake was interrupted before he could even finish reciting a name. Yun, Sing Su just asked you which auction items you like. He'll get someone to send them back later. Okay. Hearing this, Bei Yunj called Sing Su. At this moment, the air froze for a few seconds before Wake asked carefully, Aren't you going back to see your grandfather? Chapter 492. When they came back, Bei Yunj glanced at Vic, who didn't dare to speak, and Hoshidu, who was sitting on the sofa. What did you two talk about? Nothing. Vic shook his head frantically. Bei Yunj. When they left, Vic didn't dare to hold Bei Yunj back, because he could see the possessiveness of the man beside him. He didn't want to be torn to pieces by this person at all. The next day, Bei Yunj still arrived at school on time. Lu Unc bumped into Bei Yunj from afar at the school gate. He watched as this man walked into the school gate with soy milk in one hand and a croissant in the other. The students on duty on both sides were like decorations. Seeing this, Lu Unc didn't hide anything. He slowly took out the croissant that he had just put in his pocket and walked into the school gate openly. Unexpectedly, a pretty girl with long black hair stopped him and said righteously, "Student, you're not allowed to bring breakfast in." Lu Unc's hand that was drinking soy milk stopped. He pointed at Bei Yunj in front. Why didn't you stop the one in front? As soon as he finished speaking, the girl with long black hair instantly blushed. Yes, we did. After saying that, the girl with long black hair glared at Lu Unc again. She was a fierce person who wasn't afraid of the school bully. If you bring breakfast again next time, I'll deduct your marks. The corners of Lu Yuanxi's mouth twitched. Wasn't little junior sister too heavy these days? Lu Yuanxi, who was finally let go, quickly caught up with Bei Yunj in front of him. Aren't the students on duty a little too fierce recently? Lu Yuanxi was filled with righteous indignation. Bei Yunj was stunned for a moment and glanced at him. It's all right. You're still all right. Lu Yuanxi was furious. Then he suddenly remembered and asked, did that girl with long black hair stop you? Yes. Lu Yuanxi heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they were treated equally. He asked very calmly, what did she say? She asked for my WeChat. Bei Yunj added, occasionally, she would remind me to bring an umbrella. Lu Yuanxi. He was about to curse. Why were people at the same table treated so differently? Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but glance at Bei Yunj. Her eyes were bright and languid, and she was too beautiful. She was wearing a light gray school uniform with a loose gray tie. His calm appearance was lazy and unruly. There was indeed a reason for them to be treated well. Usually, she would hear the girls from other classes talking about Bei Yunj. They would say things like killer of both men and women, big boss of the concubine circle, human spanner, and so on. He could understand the first, second, and third meaning, but he didn't quite understand it. Lu Yuanxi's thoughts were quickly overwhelmed by anger, and he even vented his anger on Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj stopped in her tracks when she saw Lu Yuanxi snatch the bag of croissants from her. The next moment, she slowly finished the soy milk in her hand and threw it into the trash can. Class 7. F***CK Brother Lu, what happened to your face? You put on eyeshadow? The boys behind him were shocked. Not long after, they saw Bei Yunj walk in and immediately said, Master Pei, I think Brother Lu was beaten up. Yes. Bei Yunj was holding 2 bags of croissants in her hand, and threw another bag to Chu Zhixing. Come little Chu, don't be polite. Lu Yuanxi. What's this? Chu Zhixing was stunned. Bei Yunj's lazy voice came from the front. Spoils of war. For a moment, Chu Zhixing seemed to know how the wound on Lu Yuanxi's face came about. Chapter 493. Yunj, I have something to tell you. Chu Zhixing pursed his lips. Bei Yunj turned to look at him. I'm sorry about what happened before. Chu Zhixing was a little ashamed. What did you do? Did you sell my personal account? Bei Yunj narrowed her pretty eyes and the smile on her lips was a little cold. Last week, her private account was about to explode from friend requests. They were all added by people from the same school. It's not me. Chu Zhixing's scalp turned numb and he immediately denied it. How could he have the guts to do such a thing? At this moment, the two of them were talking and did not notice Lu Yuanxi's guilty look. Then why are you apologizing to me? Bei Yunj glanced at him. About Bo Jinxiao. I didn't realize that she was so hostile to you. Chu Zhixing said, afraid that Bei Yunj would ignore him because of this. Hearing this, Bei Yunj chuckled unconsciously. Isn't it normal to be hostile to me? I have a bad temper, so why would anyone like me for no reason? Xiao Chu, do you have to find someone who likes me when you find a partner? Bei Yunj's words were slightly teasing. At least she can't target you. Chu Zhixing pursed his lips. No one could target Bei Yunj. This was his bottom line. Lu Yuanxi, who was beside him, was used to the actions of Chu Zhixing's retarded fan. However, seeing that Chu Zhixing could stand between Bei Yunj and his first love so decisively, he could not help but look at Chu Zhixing again. Then, according to Chu Zhixing's standards, would he be able to find a girlfriend in this lifetime? Hearing Chu Zhixing say this, Bei Yunj fell silent. The moment Chu Zhixing walked out of the classroom, Bei Yunj suddenly asked, Xiao Lu, how can I make girls like me? Lu Yuanxi could tell that Bei Yunj was sincerely good to Chu Zhixing. 600 therefore, such an unbridled and flamboyant person, was willing to restrain his temper for the sake of his friend in order to please the people around his friend. But Bei Yunj was really not suitable. He was a little afraid that Bei Yunj would use too much force and directly turn Xiao Chu's future girlfriend gay. After all, It was not impossible for the girls from other classes to be so enthusiastic about Bei Yunj. I advise you to be kind. Lu Yuanxi turned his head and said expressionlessly, Bei Yunj. Noon. Bei Yunj was called to the office by the head teacher as soon as the examination venue was decided. At the office entrance, Bei Yunj knocked on the door and heard someone say, Please come in. Teacher 1. Bei Yunj walked up to Mr. 1. Have a seat. I have something to discuss with you. Mr. 1 took off his glasses and massaged his temples. Go ahead. Bei Yunj nodded. Can you tell me how much you can score with your usual standard? Mr. 1 had taught for so many years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a ridiculous thing as guessing a student's standard. Teacher, are you guys aiming for results? Mr. 1 pushed the mousse cake he had just bought in front of Bei Yunj. Speak properly. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and looked at the cake again. Soon, she reached out and dug up a small piece of cake with a spoon. How many points do you want? Mr. 1. Why did it seem like she was bargaining with him? The better you do, the happier I will be. Mr. 1 was about to lose his temper with Bei Yunj. Chapter 494. Hearing Teacher 1 say this, Bei Yunj did not speak for a moment. Seeing this, Teacher 1 could not help but sigh. Do you have any concerns? Did children these days like to score low so much? A little. Teacher 1 could not help but look up at her. What concerns? Bei Yunj took a bite of the cake, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. Because my brother doesn't like to go home. I have to watch him. Just as Teacher 1 was stunned, Bei Yunj said slowly, I hope Teacher 1 won't mention this anymore. Otherwise, I don't know where the first place in the level is, but the last place in the level will definitely be our class. Teacher 1 was speechless. What an overboard threat. It was difficult for Bei Yunj not to know about the contact between the form teacher and her family. Almost every week, she could see Qin Yu and Qin Lang taking turns to post her corrected homework on WeChat. She was just too lazy to say it. After Bei Yunj left, the teacher of class 1 had just walked in when she saw Teacher 1's dejected expression. She smiled, unable to hide the flaunt in her tone. Teacher 1, didn't I tell you not to work so hard? People should be more realistic and not ask for trouble. You're already in year 2. Are you still waiting for Bei Yunj to create a miracle for you? Bei Yunj was a person who was ranked in the last 20 to 30 places in the level. She was completely incomparable to everyone else. Why waste time and energy on such a person? I won't give up on any of my students. Teacher 1 said calmly. What the form teacher of class 1 hated the most was Teacher 1's arrogant appearance. He really treated himself as a role model in the industry. She snorted. Speaking of which, Bei Yunj and Qin Youjiao both retained a grade. But Qin Youjiao in our class retained a grade because she had a national tour and her results didn't fall behind. As for Bei Yunj, it was entirely because her results were bad, and she was still delusional enough to think that repeating a grade could solve the problem of her results. Teacher 1 was right. There's still more than a year. What's the hurry? Teacher 1 said. The form teacher of class 1 laughed coldly. Can a year change anything? Alright, then I hope that Teacher 1 can broaden my horizons. After school, Bei Yunj had just arrived home when she saw Grandpa Shen sitting on the sofa downstairs with his hands on his waist. Grandfather, what's wrong? Bei Yunj went downstairs. Old Master Qin reacted as if he had seen his savior. Gur, can you help Grandpa with something? What happened? I made an appointment with my ward mate to visit him today, but my waist suddenly sprained. Bei Yunj. Grandpa, why don't you consider someone else? She was not a social person. It's fine. You just have to be polite. Bei Yunj couldn't refuse old Master Qin's request. She could only ask the driver to take the fruit basket and flowers to the hospital. Room 305. As soon as Bei Yunj opened the door, she saw a very young man lying on the bed instead of a white-haired old man. He was wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown, but it could not hide his deep and handsome eyes. However, his smiling eyes were distant. Bei Yunj's red lips curled up and after a while, she thought of a greeting. My name is Bei Yunj, the granddaughter of your ward mate. With that said, Bei Yunj still thought that she was quite polite. However, the man on the bed furrowed his eyebrows and spoke. Why are you here? Bei Yunj did not even look up. My grandfather asked me to be polite. Shang Yan was speechless. Chapter 495. Can you get me a glass of water? When Bei Yunj heard this, she glanced at Shang Yan and poured him a glass of water. Do you hate me that much? Shang Yan suddenly asked. Hate? Bei Yunj looked up at him and asked. You seem to be very unwilling to get close to me. Is it because of my leg? The man's voice was low and smooth, but his hand that was holding the cup was slightly pale. I don't have much patience for strangers. You do too, don't you? Bei Yunj laughed nonchalantly and chose a seat to sit down. She glanced at her watch and waited for 10 minutes to complete her mission and leave. At this moment, Shang Yan did not take the initiative to say anything. The atmosphere was a little cold. Your grandfather is a good person. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows lazily. You're all like this when you're old. Will you be like this when you're old? Not really. For a moment, Shang Yan suddenly understood how Nancy felt when she was stuffed with 700 yuan. She was also despised by others. After that, just as Shang Yan gave up on forcing a conversation, suddenly Bei Yunj asked, How long has your leg been injured? Several years. Bei Yunj glanced at him and did not say anything. Don't you have anything to say? Bei Yunj curled her lips. Someone should have told you what I want to say. Shang Yan realized that this girl was indeed quite cold. She did not like to meddle in other people's business and never did anything unnecessary. However, he could tell that this girl's coldness seemed to stem from her being too transparent. But what had she seen at such an age to have such a personality? Her grandfather was clearly a passionate person. Do you want me to learn to use a prosthetic limb to do rehabilitation? Shang Yan asked with a smile. You have to face a choice in life. Why should you choose the worst one? Bei Yunj took an orange from the fruit basket and slowly peeled it. But I might not live well if I go out. Shang Yan's eyes darkened as he clenched his fists. As a proud son of heaven, how could he be willing to be criticized behind his back? Bei Yunj felt that the old man's ward mate seemed to have a lot of psychological barriers. What did you do in the past? Business, I guess. Shang Yan did not elaborate. Bei Yunj asked again. Will your leg interfere with your work? I won't. Shang Yan laughed. I'm the one who can't accept the strange gazes of others. Bei Yunj finally understood what the old man's ward mate was trying to avoid. However, no one would be able to accept this for a while. The more arrogant a person was, the harder it was for them to accept it. Sir, you don't have to accept everything that others give you. Bei Yunj stood up when she saw that visiting hours were almost up. But some things can't be changed. Why don't you change yourself and make yourself happier? I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. With that said, Bei Yunj added, Goodbye. Shang Yan could not help but chuckle when he saw Bei Yunj leave. If it were anyone else, he would really think that that person was just being polite and couldn't bear to see him sad. However, this girl wasn't someone who was willing to say such things. Furthermore, when he said the reason, he even saw a hint of understanding in her eyes. Shang Yan, did someone come? Nancy looked at the fruit basket strangely. Yes, a very honest girl came. Actually, Bei Yunj's experience was quite similar to Shang Yan's. In her previous life, after Meng Liang committed suicide, everyone said that Bei Yunj had the genes of a lunatic. Even the teachers who liked her in the past were more afraid of her than doting on her. P.S. Top 25 on the monthly votes list, 2 more updates. Chapter 496. Therefore, that year, Bei Yunj practically locked herself in the research lab and developed 3 projects. In the same year, she was nominated for 3 awards. It became the most unforgettable year in the scientific research field. In the evening, Bei Yunj had just sent the score to Du Xiao and was writing the report when she suddenly saw a computer notification. Someone was trying to hack into her system. Bei Yunj glanced at it again and continued to write the report with her fingers. It was not until she had written more than 1,000 words that she saw that the person was finally about to break in. Yunj snorted and saved the manuscript slowly. Then, she gave this person who was trying to hack into her computer a greeting gift. At this moment, in a financial center far away in our nation, the man who was originally full of confidence almost smashed his computer on the spot. He stood up with a livid expression. Damn it! What's wrong, Hans? The mysterious woman who often interacted with Qin Yojiao pushed open the door. The moment she looked up, she saw the man's furious expression. Elena's eyes darkened. It was her first time seeing Hans like this. Did something happen? Elena asked immediately. I was discovered. Hans's expression was terrible, as if he had suffered a great humiliation. What? Elena's expression changed as well. Hans was the #1 hacker in the country. Back then, she had recruited him into the company to protect the company's security system and do something. But how could there be a computing expert in a small place like Country A? Besides, she had asked Hans to hack into Yun's computer. Could it be that Yun also had a computer expert by her side? 228 Literature Network. Before Elena could think too much, she saw Hans's computer screen turn completely black. No matter how Hans operated it, the computer seemed to be broken. What's going on? Elena's expression did not look too good. It was her first time being played indirectly. That person is more skilled than me. She must have done it. At the thought that he had spent so much effort to hack into the computer just now, but in the end he was played like a monkey, Hans almost broke down and cursed. At the same time, in the old mansion, Yunj, who was checking what was on Hans's computer, found a secret folder. After the box was opened, Yunj didn't expect that it contained the information of the Qin's group, and some confidential business documents that could only be obtained by the internal department. Yunj's eyes darkened. After thinking for a while, she opened another folder. But in the next moment, an image appeared on the computer screen. 2 white bodies appeared in front of his eyes. And they were all real men. Yunj. She also wanted to scold someone. Suddenly, a low and lazy voice came from behind. Yun? Yunj, who had always been smart and farsighted, felt a chill at the back of her head. She hurriedly turned off the computer in the most primitive way. She pulled out the plug. But in the next moment, his slender hand placed a plate of cut fruits on the table. Then he smoothly pulled out a seat and sat down beside Yunj. What were you looking at just now, Yun? Yunj. In the past 2 days, Qin Luyan and the rest had frequently knocked on her door, causing her to simply not lock the door. But she did not expect such a situation to happen. Watching a movie. Yunj took a long time to mentally prepare herself before she dared to turn around and meet the man's half-smiling gaze. Chapter 497. It's a learning movie. Yunj looked elsewhere. The man slowly picked up a piece of fruit and fed it to Yunj very naturally. Huashida's voice was lazy and neither fast nor slow. However, the words he said made Yunj understand the meaning of being too ashamed to face anyone for the first time. Don't you wear clothes in learning movies? Some knowledge is not easy to learn with clothes on. Yunj's tone was slow as she silently turned her swivel chair to the side. But in the next moment, the man's elegant arm grabbed the swivel chair Yunj was sitting on and pulled her in front of him. Yunj had no choice but to look at the man up close. Huashidu's slender index finger tapped lightly on the armrest of the chair beside her. His gradually deepened eyes were captivating and inexplicably aggressive. His low and lazy voice was frivolous and ostentatious. All right then, tell me, what did you learn? Some knowledge that I will never use in my life. Yunj recalled the scene just now and felt that it was a little heavy. Huashida did not expect to see this child peeping at such things. Seeing Huashida's dark gaze, Yunj could not say that she had coincidentally hacked into someone else's computer and saw it by chance. Hence now, she regretted not destroying that person's computer. The information of the Qin group was in a second-level important document. Those messy movies were actually in a first-level important document. Yunj licked her lips. Brother, did you see it too? Yes, it's all thanks to Yun. It's an eye-opener for me. Huashida's tone was indifferent and no emotions could be heard. What do you think? Bei Yunj suddenly had a desire to know. When Huashida heard this, his good-looking pale-colored eyes darkened. He lifted his head lazily, and his low tone was inexplicably dangerous. Do you want to know? He had only glanced at the things that the little girl had placed just now. After all, a man with a normal sexual orientation would not have a good impression of such things. No. Huashida looked at her for a while and suddenly smiled. Yunyan, it's not good for your health to learn less. Bei Yunj. Was this dog man talking dirty again? The next day, as soon as Bei Yunj left Hengda, she went to the computing institute. But when she swiped the ID card, Bei Yunj realized that something was wrong. The credit card machine was useless. Hello, how do I get in? Bei Yunj turned around and found that the old security guard was gone, replaced by a young security guard. Oh, the competition, right? Just show your face over there. I'm not here for the competition, Bei Yunj replied. Sure. Just show your face over there. The security guard nodded perfunctorily. Young lady, why are you being so stubborn? Hurry up, the exam has already started more than 10 minutes ago. The security guard couldn't help but urge her. She wasn't here to participate in the competition, so it was useless even if she swiped it 100 times. Bei Yunj stood in front of the face-scanning machine to appease the security guard. However, with a beep, the electronic door opened. Bei Yunj. The moment she entered, Bei Yunj saw Si Qingyan, who was wearing an ID card. She immediately walked forward. Si Qingyan, what's going on? Why can't I swipe my card? I drank too much yesterday and forgot about today's competition. I didn't have time to install the dual system, so I can only trouble the people in the institute. Si Qingyan admitted generously. Chapter 498. Bei Yunj suppressed her temper and said gently, Then how did you get in? Work pass. Si Qingyan picked up the work pass in front of his chest. It was tied with a blue rope. He added, Anyway, you're the only one who doesn't have a work pass. Besides, didn't you participate in the competition? Bei Yunj asked. When did I participate in the competition? After Bei Yunj asked this, she suddenly thought of that scam message. In that case, it wasn't a scam message? A few days ago you signed up yourself, okay? Look at you, you won't even let go of a few million yuan. Are you human? Si Qingyan teased casually. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she glanced at him. I didn't sign up. Hearing this, the smile on Si Qingyan's face froze. He never thought that someone would resort to such tricks in front of Bei Yunj. It's impossible for your personal information to be taken from the computing institute. Then it's very likely that it's someone around you, Si Qingyan said. I know. Bei Yunj replied as a dark look flashed past her eyes. Is there anyone else participating in the competition? The person who signed her up obviously wanted to see her make a fool of herself. That Cheng Zihuai from your school is also participating, Si Qingyan said immediately, his eyes flickering with excitement. It was obvious that Si Qingyan wanted to add fuel to the fire and watch the show. It should be him. Bei Yunj didn't doubt it at all. It's him. Si Qingyan was surprised. Hong Chongjin had sent so many students here just to get first place in this competition. Who would have thought that his student would be so stupid? She took the initiative to sign up Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj laughed and licked the corner of her lips. Yunj, why are you here today? Elder Zhong sent a message saying that there's a buffet hot pot and asked me to come over, Bei Yunj said slowly. Si Qingyan was speechless. Had this buffet hot pot already started to expand? Then I didn't even pay the registration fee, but I can get a few million. That sounds pretty good, Bei Yunj said leisurely. Si Qingyan was speechless. Teen Beast. He seriously suspected that this guy was faking his age. There are only 74 people in total, and more than half of them are from your computing center. Professor Hong, are you really shameless? Zhong Shenglin always liked to say unpleasant things in front of others. You guys are amazing too. None of you came to participate. Hong Chongjin had a smug look on his face. What's the matter? Is the recruitment situation at the computing institute not good? Are all the people in our computing center? Zhong Shenglin sneered. After all, Our computing institute has strict recruitment requirements. Not everyone can be admitted. The Computing Institute was an established computing institution, while the Chingchong Computing Center was a rising star among a group of computing institutions. Chingchong Computing Center's current recruitment situation was indeed better. After all, the Chingchong Computing Center had a living signboard, Ji Xingqing. He could be said to be the king of newcomers in the computing field. Elder Zhong, you haven't won the Busaka Award for several years. This year's Busaka Prize was missed by you and fell into the hands of Marcus. How are you feeling? Hong Chongzhen's eyes were filled with ridicule. In a place like the Computing Institute, the people who came out in the future were all mediocre. Other than Si Qingyan, had Zhong Shenglin brought out any talents? Elder Zhong, do you still remember how you looked down on me back then? Hong Chongzhen laughed as if he had vented his anger. Chapter 499. You'd rather choose a teammate who doesn't know anything than choose me. Elder Zhong, you're always making the worst choice. Hong Chongzhen could not help but mock him. Are you done talking nonsense? Zhong Shenglin could not be bothered to talk to him. I know that many forces are involved in your competition this time. I'm also very grateful that you didn't let Si Qingyan participate in the competition. Hong Chongzhen raised an eyebrow. So, our computing center is determined to get first place. Suddenly, a lazy voice sounded. Excuse me, where is the competition venue? Zhong Shenglin froze and slowly moved towards Bei Yunj. Why was this ancestor here? Did she know that Nance might come today? Why wasn't this ancestor hiding well? What are you doing here? Zhong Shenglin asked sincerely. Elder Zhong, didn't you ask me to come and eat hot pot? Zhong Shenglin was speechless. No wonder Nance did not appear after a long time. It turned out that he had sent the wrong message. He actually sent it to Bei Yunj. Zhong Shenglin immediately went forward and caught Bei Yunj, who was about to leave. What competition are you participating in? Bei Yunj showed the competition form that she had just printed to Zhong Shenglin. I signed up. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. No. He had been so busy that he had forgotten about Bei Yunj. If Nance saw Bei Yunj, Nance would have an air. He would be gone. This competition is not fun at all. Stay and eat hot pot. Zhong Shenglin quickly said. No, leave quickly. He could not let Nance and Bei Yunj meet. Wait a minute. Hong Chongzhen's tone was mocking. Why are you letting her go? The little girl wants to participate in the competition. Isn't it good to let her broaden her horizons? Bei Yunj turned around and saw a familiar old face. Hong Chongzhen. Ever since Hong Chongzhen mocked her in public last time, Jianxi had made this person into an emoji. As a result, Bei Yunj could see this face every day. Isn't this Hong Chongzhen? Bei Yunj looked Hong Chongzhen up and down, chuckled lightly, and asked casually. The smile on Hong Chongzhen's face froze. It was obvious that this was the first time he had been called by his name by a junior. Suddenly, his favorable impression of this girl fell into the negatives. Zhong Shenglin, is this your granddaughter? Hong Chongzhen's expression turned ugly. Zhong Shenglin felt that Hong Chongzhen had finally spoken nicely for once. However, he still rolled his eyes. It's none of your business. Since she's your granddaughter, we should see if Elder Zhong's computing talent can be passed down. Bei Yunj glanced at him casually. Zhong Shenglin took on the role and said angrily, my granddaughter's talent is so good that even the combined IQ of your 18 generations of descendants can't match her. Bei Yunj. The corners of her lips twitched and she could not help but glance at Zhong Shenglin. Hong Chongzhen's face also turned red and green. His gaze was so fierce that it looked like he wanted to skin the person in front of him alive. Fine. I want to see if she's talented. Hence, at this moment, Bei Yunj was personally brought upstairs by Zhong Shenglin. There were only 10 minutes left before the first round of the examination. The moment Bei Yunj pushed the door open, she saw that most of the students had stopped competing. However, their ugly expressions did not seem like they had completed the competition with full confidence. Si Qingyan, who had returned after taking a stroll outside, was very surprised to see Bei Yunj. Are they really here for the examination? P.S. Babies, remember to move your hands, vote for them, and kiss them one by one. Chapter 500. Yes. Pei Yunj hummed in response. Those students who were not continuing the exam could not help but look back. They were especially curious about Pei Yunj. This girl was actually sent up by Elder Zhong himself. And more than half of the first round of the exam had passed. All right, then choose a computer according to your seat number. When Pei Yunj heard this, she glanced at the seating chart casually and glanced at Cheng Zihuai's column. At this moment, someone could not hold it in anymore. Teacher Hong Mingyi cheated in the exam. The boy stood up and said indignantly. When Hong Chongjin heard this, he only glanced at the boy with a mocking gaze. Hong Mingyi was Hong Chongjin's son. He was 35 years old and had participated in the competition. This round is to test the hacking and attack techniques. The competition requirement is for me to counter the hackers. I didn't say how many there are. Hong Mingyi was immensely pleased with himself. Obviously, not many people in this competition knew how to hack. Hong Mingyi directly hacked the computers of the contestants who were not from the Qingchong Computing Center and widened the score to the maximum. This was very unfair to the other contestants. Hong Mingyi. Zhong Shenglin's face darkened, but before he could finish, Hong Chongjin interrupted him. Elder Zhong, Hong Mingyi didn't do anything wrong. Didn't you say in the competition rules that you can't hack other people's computers? Hong Chongjin was still smug. Cheng Zihuai, who was in front, glanced at Pei Yunj and was a little surprised. Then his expression turned sarcastic. He really did not expect Pei Yunj to dare to come. I'm really sorry, young lady. I don't think I have a computer left for you. Hong Chongjin turned around and smiled at Pei Yunj. 536 Literature. There was a hint of disdain in his eyes. Pei Yunj glanced at the computers over there. Other than the computers in the Qingchong Computing Center, all of them had been hacked. Even the computers that no one used were hacked. This doesn't conform to the competition rules, right? How can you interfere with other people's competition during the competition? Pei Yunj frowned and said to Zhong Shenglin. Si Qingyan, who was watching Pei Yunj from the side, was speechless. He had a feeling that this fellow was up to no good. What's wrong with that? Is there a difference? Hong Chongjin snorted with his hands clasped behind his back. In fact, Hong Mingyi did not have much talent all this time. It was Hong Chongjin who nurtured him with the best resources and conditions. Among his peers he was not considered superior and could not compare to Si Qingyan. But compared to these young and inexperienced brats and girls, of course, they could only look up to her in the dust. All right, although it's quite embarrassing. Pei Yunj nodded, and the troubled look on her face immediately disappeared. Even the corners of her rosy lips curled up. Then I'm relieved. Si Qingyan was speechless. Zhong Shenglin. He had a feeling that things were getting out of hand. Not long after, Pei Yunj chose a seat in the back row. Your granddaughter doesn't seem to be able to take the scare. Elder Zhong, it's time to bring her to see the world. Hong Chongjin's tone was mocking. Zhong Shenglin chuckled. Is that so? Hearing this, Hong Chongjin frowned instinctively. Then he heard the sound of rapid typing on the keyboard. Even the contestants who had nothing to do in front and had their computers hacked noticed it. However, they could not see the person in the back row clearly through the computer. Is it that girl just now? Someone in front whispered. Chapter 501. But wasn't the computer hacked by Hong Chongjin? Someone could not help but whisper. She can crack it. Cheng Zihuai, who was in front, could not help but scoff. Hong Mingyi looked at Cheng Zihuai and could not help but ask, You know that person? I know her. She's someone who only knows how to put on airs. Cheng Zihuai continued to crack the task at hand. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the people in the front row of the Qingchong Computing Center realized that something was wrong. Pei Yunj, who was in the last row, slowly took out a tissue and wiped the dust off her computer screen. At this moment, when Hong Chongjin saw this scene, he could not help but sneer. Zhong Shenglin, didn't your granddaughter give up too quickly? I thought she had. How capable. Before he could finish speaking, a surprised voice sounded in front. It's been cracked. My computer can be used. Mine too. F***CK. How did she crack it? What's going on? Immediately, the sound of a keyboard being smashed was heard. Who the hell hacked my computer? And mine. Cheng Zihuai looked at his computer that had been hacked. His handsome face suddenly turned colorful, and then a person appeared in his mind. Bei Yunj. But what was going on? Bei Yunj was an idiot. How could she know this? The discussion in front made Hong Chongzhen's expression change. He instinctively looked at Bei Yunj, who had just wiped her computer screen in the last row. He looked up and saw that Bei Yunj's computer had returned to normal. Instead, all his students' computers had been hacked. But how did she do it in the time it took to say a few words? Come and read. Seeing this scene, Si Qingyan was almost overjoyed by Bei Yunj's actions. Too wild as expected of. This student cheated. She cheated. Hong Chongzhen said angrily. He had forgotten what he had said earlier. Professor Hong, this doesn't violate the competition rules. Didn't you say so? Si Qingyan was the first to join in the commotion. He had to thank his own student. Otherwise Bei Yunj would not have signed up for this. You. Hong Chongzhen's face was ashen. I'm really sorry. I saw a submitted result just now and it was accidentally erased. I don't know whose it was erased. I'd like to apologize to everyone. Bei Yunj apologized lazily, but her bright and beautiful face was filled with the words I dare you again next time. She was arrogant and impudent. The people in front of them, who had been controlled by the computer, were angry but didn't dare to say anything. They already wanted to set up a fan club for the immortal behind them. This little sister is too much. You. Hong Mingyi almost jumped up and fought with Bei Yunj. Just in case he submitted his results first. In the end it was actually wiped out. Si Qingyan was silent for a moment. He remembered that when he set up the program, it was automatically saved and could not be changed. This person was truly ruthless. Bei Yunj. You. Cheng Zihuai's face darkened. You even locked my computer. Shouldn't your computer be locked the most? Bei Yunj said slowly. Then he looked up and glanced at Cheng Zihuai indifferently. However, that glance almost made Cheng Zihuai's back turn cold. Professor Hong said that if you're not as skilled as others you'll lose. This is also a loss. Why are you angry? Bei Yunj snorted nonchalantly. Chapter 502. When Zhong Shenglin saw that this scene had indeed turned out to be unsalvageable, he couldn't help but cough softly. At this moment, no one realized that there was someone standing at the door. After 20 minutes, the contestants who had been locked up for more than half an hour had yet to complete this mission. They couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. However, they were all working hard to complete it. However, after another 3 to 4 minutes, they realized that something was wrong. Shouldn't the scores be automatically reviewed? Why hadn't they submitted the scores yet? Qingyan, what's going on? Zhong Shenglin looked at his watch and felt that something was wrong. When Si Qingyan heard this, he immediately explained, No, I set up the program to automatically. Before he could finish speaking, Si Qingyan suddenly knew who did it. Bei Yunj, who had already completed the mission, rested her chin on one hand and flipped through the documents. She looked back and saw a pair of clear and beautiful eyes. Her lazy and pleasant voice said lazily, Grandpa, give the children a chance. Zhong Shenglin did not have the rationality to think about anything else. This grandpa made him overjoyed. Okay. Zhong Shenglin nodded repeatedly. Si Qingyan was speechless. Where is your future, old master? The #1 computing person in the country. The first Busaka winner in country A. She called him grandpa, and he was even prepared to help her rob a bank. Si Qingyan felt more and more that his status was low. Old master's mentality of valuing girls over boys would one day pay the price. Hence, just like that, Hong Mingyi, Cheng Zihuai, and the rest watched as the people around them obtained good scores after a delay of half an hour. As for them, they either did not finish the automatic review of their results or scored 0 like Cheng Zihuai and Hong Mingyi. Dream Chinese. After this round ended, a few girls in front surrounded her excitedly. Big Boss's name is Bei Yunj. It sounds so good. Who didn't like an A-rated girl? After all, that operation just now was so handsome that it bent the sexual orientation of all the girls present. No wonder she was late, and old Master Zhong personally escorted her. Big Boss didn't need so much time for the exam. I pretended to go to the toilet just now, and saw the side of her face. She's so F***ing beautiful. Do you know, that kind of appearance is actually real. She's someone who I like. Hearing that, the other boys became more and more curious. After all, it was rare to meet a girl who could make a girl like her so much. Therefore, a boy took the initiative to peek. Not long after, everyone saw him return with a rippling face. He made an okay gesture and clutched his heart. Okay, I'm gone. After that, the other boys were also very curious, so they all went over to have a look. In the end, their faces were filled with subtle ripples. Everyone. Yes, it was confirmed. His appearance was definitely the highest level of attractiveness for both men and women. In the last row, Bei Yunj, who hadn't noticed at first, gradually noticed the subtle expressions on everyone's faces. Bei Yunj chuckled, but there was no warmth in her eyes. Are you all looking for trouble? Instantly, a boy behind him who wanted to come over to take a look at Big Boss Shin Yen felt his scalp go numb. He turned around and left at the same time as the god in front of him. Seeing that no one was coming over, Bei Yunj continued to play with her phone. But the people in the front row were still impatient. Did you see how God Pei played with her phone just now? This is the first time I've seen a girl wearing a tie so loosely. She's so cool and sexy. Chapter 503. The boys beside him were speechless. Haha, back then, they had been scolded for wearing ties like this. Did the world care so much about looks? In the long corridor, Zhong Shenglin walked downstairs happily with his hands behind his back. Elder Zhong, why aren't you watching anymore? Hong Chongjin asked with a fake smile. Oh, you're talking about the competition. There's no suspense. It's boring to watch. Zhong Shenglin sighed and smiled gently at Hong Chongjin. Thank you so much, Professor Hong. You sent more than 30 students over just to let my Gu'er crush them. You think you can crush them just because you say so? Hong Chongjin sneered. Although Hong Mingyi was not talented, the elite education he had given him for so many years was not in vain. This age advantage could not be replaced no matter what. It's been hard on you to teach your granddaughter hacking skills. Hong Chongjin chuckled, but his tone was filled with jealousy. Of course, Hong Chongjin knew that Bei Yunj was much more talented than Hong Mingyi. At Bei Yunj's age, Hong Mingyi had devoted himself to computer studies, but he could not compare to Bei Yunj at all. He knew that in time, Bei Yunj would definitely be more outstanding than Hong Mingyi. But at least, they had won this competition that they had to win. I didn't say that I taught her. Zhong Shenglin smiled at Hong Chongjin. However, when the results of the competition are out, Professor Hong, don't be angry and say that our computing institute cheated. You, Hong Chongjin sneered. Elder Zhong is as confident as ever and likes to joke. Our Qingchong Computing Center won the competition. Why would we say that you cheated? Seeing Hong Chongjin flaunting his prowess, Si Qingyan really wanted to tell him back then that even an old man like you might not win, let alone your young one, alright? However, at this moment, Si Qingyan chose to remain silent. He only wanted to quietly watch how Hong Chongjin bragged. When Zhong Shenglin returned to his office, he realized that there was someone else in the office. It was Nancy. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. Why was he here? Didn't he not invite him to eat hot pot? However, when Nancy saw Zhong Shenglin, she excitedly held his hands and said, Zhong Shenglin, I found it. I found that high school student. Zhong Shenglin had a bad feeling, but he still kept a smile on his face and firmly shook off Nancy's hand. Oh, okay, you can scram now. Nancy. Did he eat dynamite, this old thing? Nancy, who had been hiding in the back to watch the game, also secretly saw the name she wanted to know. I really did find that high school student. Her name is Nancy, I'm telling you, don't even think about the people in this computing institute. Zhong Shenglin changed into a white coat and prepared to leave. I don't want to. When Nancy heard this, she immediately exploded. Zhong Shenglin, you tricked me? Are you interested in my successor? He should have known that Zhong Shenglin wouldn't be able to find a successor after so long. It was very likely that he would strike first. Zhong Shenglin resisted the urge to scold him and smiled at him. I've been digging for 2 months. Do you know? Who do you think you are? Nancy. Didn't you say that you were digging? What does it have to do with a high school student? Nancy was halfway through her reprimand when she felt that something was wrong. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes. Chapter 504. No way. Nance clutched his heart in disbelief. I casually scooped someone up. She's not even 20 years old. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. Those who did not know would think that Nance had invented a time machine to scoop up Bai Yunj. She's a high school student? Why didn't you say so earlier? Zhong Shenglin chuckled. I'm already very tired from fighting with Marcus and Steven every day. With you, are we going to have a mahjong table? Nance said. Wait, what does this have to do with Steven? Marcus was also in the computer industry, so he could understand. But why was Steven joining in the fun? Guthrie knows some biomedical engineering and gave Steven a research and development machine, so Steven believes that Guthrie has the talent to learn medicine. Moreover, this guy seemed to really know medicine. Zhong Shenglin added in his heart. She didn't fake her age? Nance was silent for a while. Could a person really be so talented? Zhong Shenglin was speechless. Was Nance really not going to consider taking Si Qingyan in? Both of their brains were extreme and perverted. No. Zhong Shenglin rolled his eyes. If you want an heir, go back to your own country to find one. Guthrie won't go with you, he added. Besides, Guthre's family doesn't lack money. Nance was speechless. This wasn't good news for him. At the competition venue, Cheng Zihuai stopped when he passed by Bai Yunj. His voice was filled with uncontrollable anger. When did you learn computer science? How could she be a newbie if she could hack half of the computers present? The only possibility was that Bai Yunj had lied to him. She clearly knew how to use computers. Come and read. Suddenly, Cheng Zihuai recalled the last time he saw Bai Yunj holding a computer book. He could not help but clench his fists, his veins popping. Bai Yunj, do you think you can attract my attention like this, or do you want to take revenge on me? Cheng Zihuai's eyes darkened. There's no need to talk about revenge. Student Cheng's words are too advanced. What you're doing is called tidying up. Bai Yunj's lazy tone was still nonchalant. When Cheng Zihuai heard this, his face instantly darkened. You. He couldn't help but sneer. You think you're so great just because you won one round? Bai Yunj, don't think too highly of yourself. After that, Cheng Zihuai's face darkened as he walked forward. In terms of theory, Cheng Zihuai was the most confident. Even in the Qingchong Computing Center, he was considered one of the best. As for Bai Yunj, if not for her good luck, she would have been adopted by Director Lin. Where would she get the chance to get to know Elder Zhong? From the beginning to the end, Cheng Zihuai believed that all of this was due to Director Lin. However, until the next round began. After about half an hour, Bai Yunj tapped her index finger on the table. Si Qingyan turned around and saw the young lady looking at him with curved eyes. This was not a good thing. What do you want? Professor, I handed in my paper in advance. Si Qingyan held back his vulgarities and smiled insincerely. His voice was squeezed out from between his teeth. Can't you follow the rules? What did she mean by handing in her paper in advance? He had set the paper to be handed in an hour. She was changing his program again. However, on the surface, Si Qingyan saw the puzzled gazes of the other contestants and pretended that nothing had happened. Chapter 505. Everyone. She could hand in her paper in half an hour? Who the hell are you guys following? Then I'll get going first. See you later, Professor C. Bai Yunj said goodbye to Si Qingyan obediently and left. However, when Si Qingyan heard this, he felt that he had missed something. Next, Si Qingyan's footsteps followed his thoughts as he quietly walked in front of himself to check his results. In the first row, Bai Yunj's results appeared in front of him. First round, 100, full marks 100. Second round, 100 full marks 100 third round, 100 full marks 100 total score, 300 Si Qingyan. Haha, he really shouldn't have had too much hope for Bei Yunj. She wasn't handing in her paper early. She was ending the competition early. The contestants present did not realize that someone had already ended the competition early. At this moment, Si Qingyan had already made up his mind. The next time there was a competition, regardless of whether Bei Yunj signed up herself or not, he would blacklist her. There was no point in holding a competition with Bei Yunj. Moreover, he had to prevent others from tampering with the examination system. Oh no, he couldn't prevent it. Si Qingyan was so angry that he gritted his teeth. At this moment, Bei Yunj was going downstairs, planning to reject Zhong Xinglin's hot pot invitation. However, the moment she pushed open the door, she saw Zhong Xinglin and a familiar old man eating hot pot. Bei Yunj. So the buffet hot pot was secretly eating hot pot in the office. Elder Zhong. Bei Yunj couldn't help but call out. When Elder Zhong heard this, he was still holding a bowl in one hand and a pair of chopsticks in the other. He just stared at her in a daze. The atmosphere was subtle and awkward. Nance did not notice and laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, old Zhong. Your beard is covered in hot pot soup. Zhong Xinglin slowly wiped his beard and coughed lightly. Guer, why did you come down? This competition. It's over. Zhong Xinglin felt that something was amiss. So fast. Wasn't the exam time? I handed in my paper early. Bei Yunj added. I changed Si Qingyan's program. Zhong Xinglin. Oh, as long as there are results. Nancy. What was going on with this ignorant senior who excessively spoiled the child? Was he still Zhong Xinglin? Old Zhong, isn't your way of educating children a little too lousy? The system was tampered with because the person who made the system was incompetent. Why should I educate her? Zhong Xinglin said matter-of-factly. Fortunately, Si Qingyan was not around. Otherwise, his heart would shatter into pieces. Nancy. Was this a normal player? Old Zhong, wake up. Not long after, Nancy turned her head and looked at Bei Yunj. Do you still recognize me, little girl? Bei Yunj looked at him for a while, and suddenly remembered. She probed. 700 yuan? 700 Nancy. Yes, that's right. Old sir, you're here too early. I haven't received my bonus yet. Bei Yunj chuckled lazily. Nancy. Did she think that he was after her bonus again? I'm not doing it for the bonus. I'm doing it for the air. Nancy was a little nervous. This was the first time in more than 10 years that he had such emotions. Air. Bei Yunj glanced at Zhong Xinglin. She really did not understand what this old man, whom she had only met once, wanted to do. Zhong Xinglin took a deep breath. Guer, he is the head of the Higgins family in our nation. P.S. There are still 1 to 3 chapters. Remember the monthly votes. Chapter 506. Although he did not want Bei Yunj to go to Country R, Zhong Xinglin knew the power of the Higgins family the best. Even if it had declined, it was still one of the 4 big families. Okay. Bei Yunj hummed in response before her eyes landed on Nance again. She let out a long laugh. Then the old master's interests and hobbies are quite special. At first, Nancy did not understand what Bei Yunj meant. But a few minutes later, Nancy realized that Bei Yunj was referring to how he did not want to be the head of the family, and came out to be a professional scammer. Nancy's eyelids twitched. I didn't extort money from you. Did you use the money? Nancy's face did not turn red and her heart did not skip a beat. I used it. This time it was Zhong Xinglin's turn to look at him. Little girl, you don't know how powerful the Higgins family is, right? Back then they were almost on par with the Fernandes family, and were one of the 4 big families in Country R. But, Bei Yunj glanced at him and said casually, but is fate not good now? Nancy. Sure, sometimes this girl was quite annoying when she was smart. As long as you come back to Country R with me, I'll help you solve the internal conflict. As for the other problems, I'll slowly teach you how to deal with them. Nancy could not help but say, Sir, it's impossible for me to emigrate. Bei Yunj frowned without batting an eyelid. My name is Nancy. Nancy emphasized. Bae-yunj nodded. Anything is fine. I'm curious. Why are most of the top researchers in your country unwilling to emigrate? Nancy asked with a frown. In their country, they followed the interests of their country. One had to know that the welfare of country R was far better than that of country A. Bae-yunj played with the glass ball in his hand and smiled. Our ancestors were patriotic and exchanged their lives for too many things. Just like in her previous life, her mother, Meng Liang, and her teacher were arrested by a neighboring country for 7 months, and were not allowed to return to the country. They missed the grand slam of the physics award in the scientific research field. But later on, when people talked about Meng Liang, other than emotional disputes, they still said that she was the most beautiful woman of her time. The achievements in the history books would never be erased. Zhong Shenglin, who was beside her, unconsciously glanced at Bae-yunj, feeling a little comforted. Fortunately, this child was brought up by Director Lin. Otherwise, if he were to be picked up by someone else, the country would lose a lot of talents. I have to say your continent's patriotic education is very good. Nancy nodded, but looked a little disappointed. Nancy, calm down. Think about it, Guer is Director Lin Longyuan's daughter. She won't let you bring her to country R. Zhong Shenglin comforted him. Nancy. Why Lin Longyuan's daughter again? Because Guer was accidentally taken away when she was young. It was Director Lin Longyun who picked her up and brought her home. Nancy. There was actually such an unorthodox method. Even if it's not Longyun, it's still me. It's not your turn. Zhong Shenglin patted Nancy's shoulder. Okay, I'll go first. Elder Zhong, Elder Nancy, talk to you next time. Bae-yunj looked at the time and left. At this moment, looking at Bae-yunj's back, Zhong Shenglin felt refreshed. What's wrong, Cece? Don't mind it. Even if Guer is not your successor, she will be my successor. We will have a chance to meet in the future. Zhong Shenglin couldn't hide the smug look on his face. Unexpectedly. At this moment, Nancy asked calmly, who said that only Bae-yunj can immigrate? Chapter 507. Wait, what do you want to do? Zhong Shenglin suddenly had a bad premonition and asked calmly. The last time he had such a premonition was when Nancy brought Neely University to file an administrative lawsuit. Anyway, I'm going to be Bae-yunj's teacher soon. What's the big deal about migrating? Nancy said nonchalantly. Zhong Shenglin felt that these foreigners were too open-minded. Was this the modern version of if the mountain doesn't come to me, I'll come to the mountain? Are you sure country R agrees to let you go? Nancy chuckled. Why do I need others to agree? Don't the people in your country have a saying that first try peaceful means before resorting to force? Zhong Shenglin was speechless. He finally understood. If country R didn't agree to Nancy's change, Nancy would change it herself. Actually, many researchers had signed agreements with the country, so it was impossible for them to migrate. But unfortunately, Nancy never signed such things. To Nancy, freedom was more important than life. Wait, when did Guer agree to be your student? Nancy said self-righteously. But she's not your granddaughter. How could he not know if Zhong Shenglin had a granddaughter? Zhong Shenglin gritted his teeth in anger. Then Higgins. The Higgins family is deeply rooted in Neely. If they move to Yincheng, they will only be more vulnerable. Just set up a headquarters in Yincheng. Nancy's mind was very agile. But Neely. Before Zhong Shenglin could finish, Nancy interrupted. Someone needs to settle Bae-yunj's matter in Neely, but I can't. Guer hasn't agreed to be my student yet. In this way, I can only spend time convincing Shang Yan. After all, Shang Yan's management talent was better than Nancy's. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. What else could he say? Was there anyone more shameless than Nancy? Wonderful. She had even paved a way out for him. Everything was ready. All that was left was Bae-yunj. The next day, in the hospital, Bae-yunj had just paid the bill and helped Director Lin to the ward. Go, I can do it myself. Hurry up and go to class. Director Lin smiled, but he didn't seem to be in good spirits. Bae-yunj glanced at the hospital list casually. Director Lin, please let me go. Go to the ward and lie down first. I'll bring you some porridge after your injection. What can happen to me in the hospital? You're so stubborn. Bei Yunj replied. Yes, you've taught her well. Director Lin. Helpless, Director Lin could only take off his shoes and lie on the bed first. When the nurse next to them saw this loving scene, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle. Granny, are you Director Lin Lanjun? The nurse suddenly noticed the name. Yeah. Director Lin was a little shy and embarrassed. That's great. My boyfriend is the doctor in charge of this hospital. He's also a student of Yin University. The nurse's eyes lit up. Hello, can I trouble you to take care of my Lin Yuan? I have to go out for a while. Bei Yunj glanced at his phone. It was Teacher Wen calling. He looked up at the nurse and asked with curved eyes. Yes, yes. After Bei Yunj left, the nurse realized that this young lady looked even better up close. Wait a minute, wasn't this the eldest daughter of the Qin family? She actually had such godly looks. Chapter 508. Director Lin didn't expect it either. She actually saw a young lady making pink bubbles in front of her granddaughter. In the long corridor of the hospital, Bei Yunj picked up the call and said in a relaxed tone, Teacher Wen, what's wrong? Teacher Wen was silent for a long time. Do you know what day it is today? Bei Yunj. Happy birthday. Teacher Wen's head was about to split open. Bei Yunj, today's the monthly exam. What are you busy with? My grandma is at the hospital. I just finished her registration and took an X-ray. When Teacher Wen heard this, he immediately understood. So Director Lin is sick. Is she okay now? She's fine. Then why don't you come in the afternoon? Teacher Wen, I'm really sorry. Please help me apply for leave. I'm going to buy breakfast. With that said, Bei Yunj hung up the call. Along the way, many people couldn't help but size up Bei Yunj. This made Bei Yunj unconsciously pull down her hat and stand in the corner. It was not until she bought breakfast and Bei Yunj personally fed Director Lin porridge that she realized that someone was sitting on the chair beside her. Old Master Qin saw this scene and felt inexplicably jealous and heartbroken. Seeing how Bei Yunj took care of Director Lin, one could imagine how well Director Lin treated Bei Yunj back then. But it also meant how important Director Lin was in Bei Yunj's heart. Otherwise, his guer wouldn't skip class and take care of Director Lin in the hospital. Grandpa, why are you here? Bei Yunj was a little surprised. Old Master Qin immediately wiped his tears. His muddy eyes were still slightly red as he hid his self-blame. God of Dance ebook. Oh, I came to see Director Lin. You must be Old Master Qin. I often hear guer mention you. Director Lin smiled. Yes. Old Master Qin nodded. I'm really sorry. It's our first time meeting so hurriedly. Director Lin smiled and shook her head. Go for the exam. I'll take care of Director Lin. I have something to discuss with Director Lin. Bei Yunj subconsciously looked at Old Master Qin. After a short silence, she said, Okay. After Bei Yunj left, Old Master Qin was silent for a moment before he turned his head and smiled gently at Director Lin. Principal Lin has a son? Yes. Old Master Qin nodded. But until now he hadn't seen Principal Lin's son. He roughly understood what was going on. If Principal Lin doesn't mind, why don't you stay at the old residence? This way guer felt more at ease. This morning, when this child went out, I didn't even see his shadow. I was really scared. This was also Old Master Qin's request as a grandfather. I'm sorry, Elder Qin. This is my fault. It has nothing to do with Director Lin was about to explain when she heard Old Master Qin say, It's only right for her to be filial to you because you're the one who raised her. I also love guer very much. I see her as the apple of my eye. Therefore, he also hoped that Director Lin would agree to let the Qin family do something for guer. This way guer won't be worried. Hungda. Teacher 1, what's going on with Bei Yunj? I didn't even see her come to the examination hall. The form teacher of Class 1 said sarcastically. It was obvious that she was here to laugh at Class 7. Director Lin is sick, Teacher 1 said lightly. Chapter 509. Teacher 1, even if Bei Yunj doesn't come this time, the school will continue to pursue the matter. You can stop dreaming. The form teacher of Class 1 snorted. There's no need for others to worry about Class 7. I'll take good care of my students. Teacher 1 was starting to worry about Bei Yunj's situation. He didn't know if the Qin family could convince Bei Yunj to participate in the monthly exam. Because something had happened with the language paper, the first exam in Hangda was mathematics. The second exam was foreign language. Just as the foreign language listening test started, Bei Yunj had already swiped her card and entered the school. When the listening test was about to end, Bei Yunj went upstairs and bumped into Teacher 1. Bei Yunj, you're finally here. Teacher 1 was anxious. I've already finished listening to the listening test. What should I do? Forget it, forget it. Hurry up and go in. Bei Yunj was directly pushed into the examination hall, attracting the attention of all the students and teachers. Teacher, I forgot to bring my pen. Bei Yunj turned her head and said, Teacher 1 at the door. The invigilator inside. She was already late for the second exam, but she actually forgot to bring her pen? A few minutes later, Teacher 1 took the pencil that he had personally sharpened for Bei Yunj, took 2 pens and stuffed them into her hands. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Bei Yunj took the pen and sat in the front row. Then she began to write the listening answers smoothly. This scene shocked the invigilator. This student had just arrived and the listening test had already ended. So, was she blindly filling in the listening answers? The invigilator didn't disturb Bei Yunj. Instead, he continued to patrol the other students. China Library as expected. The candidate in the last examination hall had no intention of cheating at all. After all, the highest score in this examination hall was also the last. After 2 days, the monthly exam was over. Lu Yuanxi walked in front of Bei Yunj. How was it? What was the most choice among all your multiple choice questions? D. Bei Yunj chewed gum and lazily packed her things. Really? Then I'll definitely do well this time. Lu Yuanxi was so happy that he looked like a fool. When the people around him heard this, they couldn't help but sneer. They were already in the examination hall. Yet they still managed to do well? Especially the students from Class 1. Even though their grades were equally bad, they still had a sense of superiority. Tisk, Class 7 can even compare their grades with Bei Yunj. Our class has always looked for Guomoran and Qin Youjiao. Do you really need that little achievement of yours? Lu Yuanxi's black eyes casually swept over them. This made the 3 of them angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. After all, Lu Yuanxi was the school bully. In the entire examination hall, Class 7 had the most students. If he tried to force it, he would be courting death. What's so great about that? I want to see what the highest score of Class 7 is. With that, the 3 of them left. Lu Yuanxi also glanced at Bei Yunj bitterly. It was impossible for Bei Yunj to be in the top 10. She had even missed an exam and it was Bei Yunj's forte. However, when they went out, Lu Yuanxi saw that Bei Yunj had been silent, and thought that Bei Yunj was sad because she had missed out on the top 10. Don't be unhappy. Everyone definitely didn't do well this time. After all, this exam is so difficult, Lu Yuanxi comforted. After all, in the past 2 days, even those people from Class 1 had been talking about how the exam this time was like hell. Chapter 510. It was a tradition that Hangda would invite the college entrance examination teachers to come up with questions during the second year of high school. It was called a loving education, for the children who were about to enter the third year of high school. And in this monthly exam every year, everyone's average score would not be more than 90. It was also very cruel. However, Bei Yunj was silent for a moment and looked at Lu Yuanxi. Is this question very difficult? Yes, you didn't see that there was a student in Class 1 who couldn't stand the pressure and cried in the office. Bei Yunj was speechless. The results this time are very good. After I finish marking these brats' papers, I'll treat everyone to a drink. The person who spoke was the new math teacher of Class 7. Obviously, he was very happy to see these depressed students. This math question was set by his cousin, and the physics question was set by the god in his cousin's school. It was said that the questions were more ruthless than Huang Qishan's. My students are crying and you still want to go out for a drink? The teacher of class 1 did not look very good. This group of brats are usually so arrogant and don't take the students of other schools seriously. The topic this time is to make them cry once and make them work harder. The math teacher did not care at all. Teacher 1 silently marked the papers. Teacher 1, what do you mean by not saying a word? Do you know that there's a top math student in your class? The math teacher teased him. What? Everyone in the office said in unison. They were in disbelief. Chu Zhixing. Teacher 1 asked. You guessed right. The math teacher nodded. This child is very talented. I don't know what medicine he took recently, but the speed of his improvement is frightening. Hearing this, Teacher 1 thought of how Bei Yunj usually taught Chu Zhixing how to do questions, and did not say anything. But he could not help but feel annoyed. This time, if there were no problems with the language paper, and the second round was math, Bei Yunj might be able to catch up. Tian. He might even be able to get into the top 50. At this moment, a teacher who was marking a foreign language paper suddenly burst out with a curse. This made the atmosphere strangely cold. Teacher Liu. Teacher 1 called out tentatively. No, nothing. The first person I got a perfect score in listening was actually in the last examination room. Bei Yunj? The math teacher asked. In this entire examination room, he only remembered Bei Yunj. Teacher 1 said, impossible. I sent her in for the exam. She wasn't finished listening at that time. Then the atmosphere fell into a strange silence. That's strange. I didn't meet anyone who scored full marks in the first examination hall. Halfway through his words, Lu Laoshi cursed in shock. The teachers. Even though Lu Laoshi was known to be the most virtuous of the teachers, he had never heard of her scolding anyone. Great, his fantasy had been shattered. What's the matter? Teacher wins. I got another perfect score for listening comprehension. The teachers. Was this year's last exam venue magical? No one had scored full marks in the first examination hall, but there were 2 who scored full marks in the last examination hall. The next day, after the teachers of Hengda High School recorded all the results, they held a self-criticism meeting. What the hell is that? The first and second place in foreign language are both in class 7. Wait, why is my first place in Chinese also in class 7? Chapter 5:11. When everyone heard this, they trembled all over. Then they slowly lowered their heads stiffly and saw the first place in the top 10 in the science exam. Class, Year 27 name Bei Yunj total science score, 300 ranking, won everyone. It was this person again. Everyone reacted and immediately checked Bei Yunj's other results. Chinese, 148 foreign language, 150 mathematics, 0 overall ranking, 2 in Chai. The mathematics teacher almost couldn't help but curse. What's going on with Bei Yunj? Only I scored 0 in my subject? Teacher Wen was pulled back by the mathematics teacher's voice and immediately explained. She took a leave of absence and only came back for the foreign language exam. But when she arrived at the examination hall, the listening exam was already over. The invigilator of Bei Yunj's foreign language exam was next to him. He had a very good impression of this student, and his voice trembled slightly. I saw her sit down with my own eyes and finish the listening exam very quickly. I thought she was writing blindly. This was because she saw that the other students' answers were quite different from Bei Yunj's. But now that she thought about it, that was the last examination hall. How many people could get the same answer as the listening exam? Now, a thought popped up in everyone's minds. This student had memorized such a long foreign language on the way here? What kind of brain was this? Impossible. This is cheating. The form teacher of class 1 immediately said with an ugly expression. Enough. The principal glanced at her coldly. As a teacher, you should have the demeanor of a teacher. If it had been at the beginning, no one would have believed it. But last month, Bei Yunj was chosen by the mathematics professors of Nili University and Yun University at the same time. She also won first place in the competition last month. This student was indeed too strange. But Beiyunj was only at the middle and lower levels in that kind of school. Hongda is the top high school in Yincheng. How could she? Principal, I can guarantee as the form teacher of class 7 that this child won't cheat. Teacher Wen immediately said. Zhao Yi held a porcelain cup in his hand and nodded. I can also guarantee for my class representative that her memory is indeed very good. Last time, she skipped my evening self-study session. I asked her to copy the entire physics book, and she was able to recite it the next day. Moreover, Zhao Yi suspected that Beiyunj was lying to him. After all, who could finish copying a physics book in a day? He was just trying to scare her. In the end, the next day, Beiyunj stood in front of him and said that the things she had copied were gone. She decided to start memorizing the contents of the physics textbook in front of him. This also shocked the grade 12 teachers in the same office. After living for so long, one could see all kinds of scenes. I'm also willing to vouch for Beiyunj, even though this guy scored a 0 in mathematics. The mathematics teacher smiled slightly, unable to hide the chilliness in his tone. The homeroom teacher of class 1 was so angry that his face turned ugly. You. Alright, don't talk about things that you don't have evidence for. It's terrible. The principal said calmly. As long as Beiyunj didn't cause any trouble for him, he would turn a blind eye to it. After the results came out, class 1 was still the happiest. Is the first place Yojiao or Moran? Someone could not help asking. When Qin Yojiao came over, she heard the teachers in the office discussing Guomoran's score. Her total score was 625 points. She was more than 20 points higher than her. It was her fault for being too concerned about the Heart International Association during this period of time. The exam this time was also difficult. Chapter 5:12. Qin Yojiao took a deep breath and said to everyone with a smile, Moran, right? I only got 600 points. To Qin Yojiao, this was indeed a new low in history. Yojiao, I heard from the teacher that you're second in the cohort. Everyone did very badly this time. Someone smiled coquettishly at Qin Yojiao. That's right, that's right. Yojiao, your worst score is 600 points. But how long will it take for me to reach 600 points? Second in the cohort? A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes, and she heaved a sigh of relief unconsciously. Actually, before this, she was also a little concerned about this monthly exam, because Beiyunj had gotten first place in the competition last time, and was fancied by a professor of Yin University. But now it seemed like she was thinking too much. That's right. There are too many people who failed this time. You have a solid high score. However, Moran is also amazing. She got first place and scored 625 points. After the girl was done being envious, she said, however, the third and fourth place this time aren't in our class. It's quite strange. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao only smiled. She did not care about those people who did worse than her. Suddenly, Yojiao, Senior Chung is looking for you. The voice at the door sounded and the students inside started to jeer. Qin Yojiao glanced at them coquettishly and immediately walked out. Zihuai, why are you looking for me? This is the monthly exam paper I finished. Hongda is still as ruthless as ever. I calculated and only got 725 points. Chung Zihuai handed the paper that he had already corrected to Qin Yojiao. 725 points? That's very impressive. Our highest score is only 625. Senior is indeed the best, Qin Yojiao said with a smile. You still have more than a year to surpass me. I didn't score much in this month's exam either, Chung Zihuai said with a smile. Then how much did you score back then? Chung Zihuai said, about 670 points. That's still very impressive. I only got 600 points. Qin Yojiao pursed her lips. Chung Zihuai knew that Qin Yojiao had always been competitive and was very talented. Otherwise, ordinary people would not be able to get 600 points from Hongda, even if they practiced the piano and reviewed their study materials. The exam this time is difficult, but the college entrance exam won't be harder than this. Study hard. I'll wait for you at Yin University. Chung Zihuai patted her head. Once the International Musicians Association's selection is done, don't forget about school. I know. Zihuai, it's good to have you around. Qin Youjiao suddenly looked up and smiled at Cheng Zihuai. How was the exam at the Computing Institute? Cheng Zihuai froze when he heard this. That time, he didn't even make it into the top 10. In the past, he thought that he was really talented. But now he knew that as a researcher, this little bit of talent was not enough. Cheng Zihuai said calmly, I didn't win an award. Professor Hong Chongjin is very capable. Zihuai, as long as you work hard, you will definitely be able to do it, Qin Yu said with a coy smile. Cheng Zihuai took a deep breath and asked without thinking, how did you do in Beiyang? I don't know. I've never heard the teacher mention it before. Qin Youjiao's smile froze. Why did you mention her today? That's good. It shouldn't be much. Cheng Zihuai felt at ease for no reason, and his fists relaxed slightly. Class 7. What's with the people in Class 1? Isn't it just that the first and second places are in their class? What's so great about them? The boy who had returned from playing basketball said indignantly. The people from Class 7 were even ostracized in the field. What's the highest score in our grade this time? The girl asked curiously. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes. Chapter 513. 625 I heard. Hearing this, everyone was silent for a while before someone asked unwillingly, then what's the highest score in our class? The top student who had just given out the papers pushed up his glasses. Looking at the results now, it seems to be Chu Zhixing. 590 points. Hearing this, everyone was still silent. They did not expect the gap to be so big, a difference of 30 to 40 points. But the second place, Qin Youjiao, only scored 600 points. It's not bad to be first in our class, another person comforted. But other than Chu Zhixing, the scores of our class. Someone wanted to say something but stopped. Indeed. For some reason, Chu Zhixing's scores had been rising like a rocket recently. Suddenly, Teacher Wen stood at the door sternly and knocked. Where is she? Where did Bei Yunj go? Hearing this, everyone turned to look at Lu Yuanxi instinctively. Seeing that Lu Yuanxi was asleep, no one dared to disturb him. Teacher Wen couldn't take it anymore, and walked forward to wake him up. Where did your desk mate go to fool around again? Can I control her? Lu Yuanxi was still asleep and said impatiently with a hoarse voice. Teacher Wen's expression darkened even more. Lu Yuanxi, get up. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. I don't think she came to school. Teacher Wen took a deep breath. Bei Yunj had really given him a sweet date and slapped him. She didn't come to school? Teacher Wen gave a fake smile. Let me ask. Lu Yuanxi called Bei Yunj and turned on the speaker. Where are you? I'm at the hospital. I'll go back later. With that said, Bei Yunj hung up. Lu Yuanxi narrowed his eyes. According to his experience of students skipping class to go to the hospital, he said, did she get her junior pregnant? He immediately dismissed this thought. Oh no, she can't. Teacher Wen was speechless. Okay, I got it. With that said, Teacher Wen placed Bei Yunj's paper on the table and said to Lu Yuanxi, you did well for the foreign language exam this time. 147 points, second in the level. When Lu Yuanxi heard this, he could finally hold his head up high. Last time, she had failed the foreign language exam, and had been laughed at by Bei Yunj for a long time. After all, he had grown up in country-ar, hee. However, now it was his turn to laugh at Bei Yunj. Then who's first? Lu Yuanxi asked casually. Your desk mate. With that, Teacher Wen left. Lu Yuanxi stiffened. F***ck, are you serious? Master Pei got first place in foreign languages? Everyone was shocked. Ling Jiwei's expression changed as a bad premonition arose in her heart. Brother Lu, quickly look at your desk mate's test paper. The others did not dare to look through Bei Yunj's things. Lu Yuanxi did not mind being beaten up a few times. He immediately picked up Bei Yunj's test paper and flipped through it. Language. When Lu Yuanxi's gaze landed on the test paper, he couldn't help but be stunned. Brother Lu, can you not keep me in suspense? Lu Yuanxi took a deep breath. His hands felt weak, Literature 148. Everyone. What the hell? Were they hallucinating? At this moment, Lu UNC was still flipping through the papers for other subjects. Physics, 110. Chemistry, 100. Biology, 90. Everyone. Wait a minute, how much was the total? They were really hallucinating. It must be a hallucination. Wait a minute, Master Pei's score is 598. She's third in the level. Chapter 514. Someone immediately said excitedly, "There's another paper, Brother Lu. Mathematics. Let's look at mathematics." Let me look at mathematics. Lu UNC continued to flip through the papers. When he found the marks, he fell silent. A moment later, 0 points. She missed the first paper. Everyone was speechless. It was too surreal. She missed the mathematics paper and came in third place. The mathematics paper was worth 150 points. If she chose C for all the multiple choice questions, she could get first place in the level. She copied it. She must have copied it. Many people in the class started to defend Bei Yunj, probably because they were familiar with Bei Yunj's temper. That's enough. Ling Jiwei, did you borrow her to copy it? Ling Jiwei looked embarrassed. You. That's right. We have a top student in our class. Isn't she bringing glory to our class? The class teacher and principal didn't say anything, but someone can't stand it. That's right. Someone goes to class 1 every day. Why didn't she transfer to class 1? Class 7 isn't good enough for you. You. Ling Jiwei looked embarrassed. She slammed the table and stood up. Then, she glared at them with red eyes and ran out. After Ling Jiwei left, many people started to ask about Bei Yunj's situation. Brother Lu, what's wrong with Master Pei? Aren't these results too sudden? Lu UNC was silent for a moment. Do you remember that she was the only one who got the questions right in the last mathematics paper? Hearing this, everyone fell silent. So she had always been a top student? Then why did she do so well in the monthly paper? Could it be that she wanted the Qin family to donate a building to Hengda? F***ck, now that you mention it, if Master Pei were to take the math exam, wasn't their class the top student in the level? 117. Everyone was in disbelief. They didn't expect Class 7 to have a top student in the level. Class 1. Or was it because of discipline? Because when the results came out, although everyone felt that it was bad, there were also those in Class 7 who were worse. What are you doing? The vice principal walked in and reprimanded them. Class 1 didn't know how to react. This was usually the treatment given to Class 7. When had the vice principal ever reprimanded them? Why aren't you studying? They're not as good as Class 7. The vice principal pursed his lips, feeling very complicated. Principal Wang, the first and second place are from our class. Did they not do well? Someone was indignant. Even if their results were good and they wanted to suppress them, there was no need to say that. What kind of standard did the 7th class have? How dare they compete with them? The first and second place are from your class. Bei Yunj next door didn't even take the math exam, but she still managed to get 3rd place. Don't you guys have any sense of crisis? As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of many people in Class 1 changed. Not only Qin Youjiao, even Leia, who was in the top 10 of the cohort, looked up at the vice principal instinctively. How is this possible? How is this possible? It's impossible for the test paper to be leaked, and it's impossible for anyone to cheat. I hope you can reflect on why others are progressing so quickly. After saying that, the vice principal slammed the grade report card on the podium and left. Class 1 was a class that he had painstakingly taught, but in the end, they couldn't even compare to Class 7. How could he not be angry? Soon many people in Class 1 gathered around to watch. However, when they saw Bei Yunj's results, their expressions changed. Chapter 515. Was this a matter of whether she improved fast or not? How is this possible? How can Bei Yunj get full marks for science? Someone could not help questioning. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao clenched her fists instinctively. She had flipped through Chung Zihuai's paper just now and more than 10 marks had been deducted from his science paper. How could Bei Yunj get full marks? Qin Youjiao's eyes were filled with darkness. Impossible. How could Bei Yunj have such standards? It seems like you underestimated your opponent too much, Lei Ye said calmly. Qin Youjiao was silent for a long time before she calmed herself down. She said, "No, I won't lose." As long as she worked hard to get a spot in the International Musicians Association, it would be useless even if Bei Yunj got first. Compared to the value of the International Musicians Association, this was not worth mentioning at all. Taking a deep breath, Qin Youjiao lowered her head and continued to solve the last few questions. After she was done with these questions, she would continue practicing the piano. She would definitely get a spot in the International Musicians Association and become an official member. When that time came, Bei Yunj would only be worthy of looking up to her. In the hospital, Bei Yunj had just changed the water for the vase. "Guor, did you not sleep yesterday?" Director Lin saw Bei Yunj holding a laptop early in the morning. "I slept for a while." Bei Yunj placed the breakfast on the folding table that came with the bed. The hospital was in the city center, and there was a lot of traffic outside the window. It was very noisy. Bei Yunj could not sleep in this environment, so she decided to improve the project overnight. Director Lin's heart ached for Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj probably came late last night, so Director Lin did not know that Bei Yunj was guarding her here. It was only when she woke up early in the morning that she found Bei Yunj sitting by the window. Go home and sleep for a while first. Apply for leave from school. How can you not sleep for the entire night? Okay, I'll leave after you finish your porridge. Hearing Bei Yunj say this, Director Lin had no choice but to eat the porridge first. After eating the porridge, Director Lin looked at Bei Yunj, her meaning obvious. Bei Yunj stood up and laughed leisurely. "Okay, I'll go back first. Old people nowadays are quite cruel." Director Lin, "Bring the umbrella over there, the sun is too strong." Bei Yunj hummed in response and opened the door with a small flower umbrella and notebook in her arms. She didn't expect to see the man waiting at the door in the corridor. His eyebrows were handsome and noble, and his pale-colored pupils were abstinent. He was leaning lazily against the wall, and no one knew when he had arrived. After Bei Yunj opened the door, Huashidu turned around and their eyes met. He stuffed the silver lighter in his hand into his pocket. "Yunyun is out. When did you get here?" 2 hours ago. Huashida's thin red lips curled up. "But I didn't bring a gift, so I can't go in. Grandma won't mind either." Bei Yunj closed the door quietly. "She likes you very much." "Really?" Huashida's thin lips curled up happily. He walked closer to Bei Yunj and took the notebook from her hand very naturally. Wait for me to say a few bad things, then she won't like you so much," Bei Yunj said lazily with a smile. The man laughed casually. I like our union's ingrate too." Bei Yunj looked at him. "Brother, are you here to take me to school?" "I'm bringing you home." Chapter 5:16. You're not going to school? Bei Yunj was quite surprised. She thought that even if she had a high fever, Huashidu would still throw her to school. "Auntie Miao has prepared some food for you. You can sleep after eating. Auntie Miao will come to see Director Lin later." Hearing that Huashidu's arrangement was very reasonable, Bei Yunj stopped in her tracks and subconsciously moved her eyebrows. "Where are we going?" The corners of Huashida's lips curled up lazily and lightly. He pinched the back of her neck affectionately. "Back to brother's house." Bei Yunj heard him say again. "The old residence is far from here. It's closer to my place." "Okay." Bei Yunj did not hesitate and did not sense anything wrong. Back at the Ho family home. "Miss, you're finally back." Auntie Miao welcomed Bei Yunj with a smile the moment she saw her. Bei Yunj felt that something was not right. "Auntie Miao, you knew that I was back?" "Yes, didn't sir accompany you back to stay for a few days?" Auntie Miao asked with a smile. This statement almost made Bei Yunj think that she was returning home with Huashidu. Bei Yunj glanced at Huashidu, but did not say anything. The man was as calm and composed as ever, as if nothing had happened. "Let's eat first," Huashidu said. "Okay." Auntie Meow had already figured out Bei Yunj's taste long ago. As a result, when Bei Yunj came back and ate Auntie Meow's cooking, she actually felt an inexplicable attachment. However, after eating and going upstairs, Bei Yunj realized that something was wrong. "Brother, my bedroom is over there." Bei Yunj stood at the door and did not go in. When Hoshida heard this, he chuckled nonchalantly and looked at her casually. He chuckled softly. "If you don't sleep at my place, can Yunyan sleep? Bei Yunj? Or does Yunyan mind?" Hoshida suddenly leaned closer. His laughter was low and hoarse, as if he was deliberately teasing her eardrums. His eyes were so dark that it was hard to tell. Bei Yunj subconsciously took a step back. No. Seeing the smile in Hoshida's eyes, it was obvious that he was teasing her. Bei Yunj smiled. "I'll leave after I wake up. This child is quite heartless." Hoshida's sexy Adam's apple bobbed as he chuckled softly. Seeing that Bei Yunj's eyes were red, Hoshida stopped teasing her. He watched her walk to the bed before gently closing the door. At the door, Sung Su said softly, "Master Do you want to rest for a while? This morning you've been looking for Miss for a long time. Let's go to the company first." Hoshida's slender and bony hand loosened his tie impatiently. He was typing a text message to inform old Master Qin that he was safe. Unexpectedly, a notification popped up in his personal account. Hoshidu clicked on it and saw that Qinyu had pulled him into the group chat. Bei Yunj parents. There were already 4 members inside, and he was the 5th. Soon, a group member sent a message. "Teacher 1, congratulations, student Bei Yunj. You are 3rd in the level for the monthly exam and scored full marks in science. Rose, Teacher 1. Picture. The picture was the report card that Teacher 1 had taken. And this content caused an uproar in the group. Qinlang. My gu? Qinyu, this is my sister? Dumbfounded. JPG. Qinlian, not bad." After a few minutes of silence, the group chat was flooded again. The 3 members of the Qin family were giving out red packets in the group chat as if money was not money. However, Teacher 1 did not dare to accept any of them, afraid that others would say that he had accepted bribes. Chapter 517. Hoshida did not say anything either. He only touched it lightly with his slender fingers and saved the report card. A few minutes later, everyone saw Master Du, who had never posted on his WeChat moments, suddenly update his status. "Du, the little kid is alright. Picture." Not long after, the downstairs was filled with likes from his WeChat moments. "Yu Hanran, damn, this ancestor scored full marks in science? She missed an exam and got 3rd place. I thought our Master Pei was a bad student. Yu Manran, come out and get scolded." Yu Manran replied to Yu Hanran, "Boo-hoo, Master Pei is amazing. Qinyu, brother, what are you doing?" Qinyu, who was backstage, saw Hoshida's post and felt that Hoshida was too immersed. This was Hoshida's first time posting on WeChat moments. It was even rarer than his brother posting on WeChat moments. Qinyu, who did not get a reply, put his phone back into his pocket. However, he wanted to find someone to share his intense joy with. After the recording, the female host habitually skipped the questions that Qinyu disdained to answer. However, Qinyu suddenly asked, "Why didn't you ask your usual questions?" Hearing this, the fans present were extremely excited. "Brother, you had actually taken the initiative to accept a personal interview. Okay, then I'll start asking." The female host took a deep breath and revealed a professional smile. "Here, the public is also very curious about your personal life, Best Actor Qin. Let me ask Best Actor Qin for everyone first. What kind of girls do you usually admire?" "The good-looking ones who can score full marks in science." Qinyu's arrogant eyes were handsome, and when he smiled, a large group of women were attracted to him. However, these words were like a bucket of ice water that woke up all the fans. The fans were speechless. "Do you know what you're talking about?" This made the fans even sadder than Qinyu saying that he was going to become a monk. The female host's expression stiffened slightly, and she immediately changed the topic to his career. "Then let's move on to the next question. What do you think is the reason for your career success? My greatest success might not be my career, but having an outstanding sister in all aspects. Qingyu leaned against the sofa lazily, smiling amiably. The manager below the stage. All right, another crazy one. A male artist who was obsessed with his sister was as dangerous as a public figure who drank fake alcohol for an interview. Hence, that day, the topic of the opposite sex that Qingyu admired the most was trending. On the other hand, Qingyu's fans started to doubt their lives as they started to browse through the science questions. Until the afternoon. Bei Yunj received a call from Marcus. Yunj, something happened to your brother's company. Hearing Marcus' anxious voice, Bei Yunj unconsciously rubbed her eyebrows. What? Your brother called me and said that the Qin group is in some trouble. 2 days ago, the security system was only attacked by hackers. The funds have been transferred today. Marcus was so anxious that his speech speed became faster. Transfer of funds? Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she replied. Okay, I got it. Oh right, Marcus. What was the name you gave me last time? He was afraid that Bei Yunj's career in the scientific research field would be affected because of the Qin Corporation. Marcus terminated the contract with the outside world and let Bei Yunj sign a contract with the Qin group with a new identity. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes. Chapter 518. Including the incident with the criminal gang last time, Marcus had also removed the name. Marcus was speechless. He knew that Bei Yunj did not care much about her matters, but he did not expect her to be so careless. Max, Marcus said helplessly. Do you want to take a look? I'll go to the Qin family to take a look first. Bei Yunj changed her clothes and went out. She called Qin Luyan. A few minutes later, Qin Luyan's voice was filled with surprise and joy. Gu, what's wrong? Are you looking for me? Bei Yunj narrowed her pretty eyes and glanced at the traffic around her calmly. Her tone was calm. Can I come to the Qin family? Sure, I'll get someone to pick you up. Qin Luyan was a little surprised. No need. Just send me your location. After hanging up the call, the people from the technical department furrowed their eyebrows. President Qin, did something happen? Nothing. My sister is coming to the company. Hearing Qin Luyan's words, no one dared to speak. However, their impression of Bei Yunj could not help but drop. It was fine if a rich young lady did not know how to solve the company's problems. At such a critical moment, she still came to the company to play? Someone really thinks that the company isn't troublesome enough. An employee from the technical department could not help but mock. Mind your own business and don't let me hear any gossip. Otherwise, leave the Qin family as soon as possible. Qin Luyan's tone was cold. Everyone knew that President Qin seemed to dote on the new elder young miss a lot, but they did not expect it to be to this extent. The employees who were reprimanded also blushed. They were unwilling to accept it and did not say anything. Qi Lin, go and pick her up. Gu, or we'll be coming over later. Qi Lin was the closest person to Qin Luyan and would not go against his wishes. Yes. About half an hour later, everyone saw the rumored real young lady of the Qin family. Her appearance was even more stunning than Qin Youjiao's back then. She was excessively beautiful. Her eyes were wild and bright, but there was indifference in them. Miss, President Qin is still dealing with some matters. He asked me to take you to his office to rest, Qi Lin said gently. Has Qin Luyan not been home for a few days? Bei Yunj suddenly asked. She had not seen Qin Luyan for a few days, but she did not know that something had happened to the company. There was no news at home either. It's been 3 or 4 days. Miss, please. Qi Lin smiled, but he was not close to Bei Yunj. I want to see him now, Bei Yunj said lightly. When Qi Lin heard this, he unconsciously frowned. He thought that Bei Yunj was a smart person and knew that she should not disturb Qin Luyan at this time. However, he did not expect her to have the temper of a spoiled young lady. Miss, you'll be a burden to President Qin if you go, Qi Lin said gently. He didn't hide the reason why he didn't want to bring Bei Yunj along. Bei Yunj looked up at him with a faint smile. I came here because I wanted to see him. In fact, Bei Yunj could tell that Qilin did not like her. Usually, everyone in the old mansion called her elder young miss, but Qilin did not treat her as his young Mississippi. If you don't take me there, I'll get him to come down. With that said, Bei Yunj was about to call Qin Luyan. I'll take you there. Qilin smiled, but the veins on the back of his hand were bulging. It was his first time being angered by such an unreasonable rich young lady. Haven't you found the loophole? Chapter 519. Qin Luyan's voice was emotionless as he looked at the technicians calmly trying to solve the problem. Bei Yunj entered and saw the bouquet of black roses on the table. Boss Qin misses here. Qilin reminded him. Hearing this, Qin Luyan turned around. He did not expect Bei Yunj to come here. Bei Yunj scanned her surroundings, casually picked up the black roses, threw them into the rubbish bin beside her, and sat at the side. Can I play here for a while? Everyone's eyelids twitched when they saw that Bei Yunj threw the black roses away, without even asking Qin Luyan. However, what they did not expect was that Qin Luyan did not care about Bei Yunj's actions at all. His low voice was even gentle. Sure. The staff of the technical department could not help but frown. What was going on with this spoiled lady who did not know anything staying with them? However, at this moment, Bei Yunj did not care about the people around her. She just turned on her laptop and lazily played Maps of the Gods. The technical department was talking. There must be more than one hacker who attacked us this time. I suspect that it was premeditated. Then should we find someone to help us solve it? Didn't Boss Qin sign a max? Hearing this, the technician who was repairing the loophole sneered. My master is an official member of the Chaosists. He has never heard of the name Max. The Chaosists were a hacker organization in our nation. It was currently the most powerful hacker organization in the world. But this is someone introduced by Marcus. He can't be bad. Someone retorted softly. He won't be bad, but he won't be much better either. That person's tone was arrogant. Then can you get your master to help? Qilin asked. My master's price for taking on an order is not cheap. And he won't take on orders easily. Qin Luyan said calmly, contact him. He can name the price. With that said, Qin Luyan looked at Bei Yunj. Seeing that she was playing Maps of the Gods, he did not disturb her. Which book website after about 10 minutes. The arrogant technician became excited. My master has accepted the order. He said he's willing to help us. He added, I'll send him the information now. Hearing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was still hope. However, after waiting for 20 minutes, Qilin received another call. His expression changed. President Qin, our company's website has also been attacked. It's completely paralyzed. As soon as he finished speaking, the technician, who was originally arrogant, was now inexplicably nervous. He immediately contacted his master, and at this moment, everyone glanced over and saw that Bei Yunj was playing the game. Their expressions immediately turned ugly. Miss Qin is still in a good mood at this time. The arrogant technician couldn't help but say gloomily. Who knew? Bei Yunj replied lazily. My surname is Pei. Zhang Yang. Qilin frowned and immediately warned him. Qin Luyan was still here, and he dared to insult Bei Yunj like this? As expected. At this moment, Qin Luyan glanced at Zhang Yang coldly. If not for Qilin's reprimand just now, Zhang Yang would have been in trouble. This time it wasn't done by one person, another technician said. Obviously, they had been besieged by the hacker organization. Suddenly, Bei Yunj said slowly, Have you guys eaten? Why don't you go have a meal? It's useless to sit here. Chapter 520. Everyone was speechless. Zhang Yang could not help but sneer. Are you mocking us? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. No one noticed that her fingers were typing a command. They only heard her say slowly, Please continue. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhang Yang wanted to continue but was suddenly interrupted by Qin Luyan. Zhang Yang, if you still want to stay in the company, you have to abide by your duty. Instantly, Zhang Yang's expression turned ugly, but he could only remain silent. At this moment, the other technicians also realized that something was wrong. This our computer, why can't we move it? F***ck, it can't be? The faces of the technicians turned ashen. Then, Zhang Yang quickly made a call to his master, but the answer he got made his face turn pale. Boss Qin, my master said that this was done by a hacker organization, but he can't deal with so many hacker attacks. As for our computer, he doesn't know what's going on either. Can your master's organization help? No. My master is in the organization and his words carry little weight, Zhang Yang said softly. When everyone heard this, they became even more nervous and afraid. So the Qin Corporation was finished this time? You guys go downstairs and have a meal first. Qin Lian glanced at the two computers that could not be used and did not reprimand them. It was as if he had already known this outcome. When Zhang Yang and the rest heard this, they glanced at Bai Yunj with ugly expressions and felt inexplicably aggrieved. 12th Literature Network, but now that the computer could not be used, they would really be sitting there in a daze. After Zhang Yang and the rest left, Qin Lian looked at Bai Yunj. Gur, what do you want to eat? I find them noisy. Bai Yunj did not hide it. Hearing this, Qin Lian's eyes darkened and he said, Gur, you don't have to worry about the Qin Corporation. No matter what happens to the Qin Corporation, I will guarantee that you will have no worries for the rest of your life. After he was reborn, Qin Lian had already transferred all his private assets to Pei Yunj's name. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Lian's cell phone rang. He looked at the overseas number, and his gaze turned cold with a hint of hostility. After he hung up, the phone kept ringing. Go out and pick him up. After Bai Yunj finished speaking, Qin Lian thought that he had disturbed Bai Yunj, so he took his phone and went out. At this time, Bai Yunj closed the maps of the gods interface. While the entire corporation was in a state of anxiety, the hacker group that was attacking the Qin Corporation on the other side looked at their progress. They were clearly going to cause the collapse of the Qin Corporation soon. However, in the first 10 minutes, they could not continue to attack the Qin family. It was as if it was being locked by something, making people feel that something was wrong. This made them inexplicably flustered. They had a bad premonition. However, if the people from the Qin Corporation's technical department had seen the situation on the screen, they would have realized that their situation was exactly the same as theirs. Bai Yunj unwrapped a soft candy and slowly bit the tip of her tongue. Her gaze swept across the loopholes that the technical department had not solved, but she was not in a hurry. She adjusted the voice changer, and her fingertips jumped on the keyboard as she started to lock onto the tracking device. At this moment, she clearly heard the conversation between that woman and Qin Lian. President Qin, how have you been? Is your company doing well? Chapter 521. If you had promised me back then, wouldn't it be a good situation for us to win both Country A and Country R's markets? Elena smiled and said, I heard that you've terminated your contract and changed to someone else to protect the company's security system. I have to say, President Qin, you're really wary of me. Is Miss Elena so short of men? Qin Lian took off his gold-rimmed glasses. The cold glint in his eyes was distant, and his eyes were refined and handsome as he asked casually. Just as expected. As soon as Qin Lian finished speaking, Elena suddenly fell silent. Qin Lian, am I not good enough? In this world, you can't find anyone who loves you more than me. Elena's tone was resentful. Be it in terms of looks or family background, she was clearly the most suitable candidate to be Qin Lian's wife. However, when the man on the other end of the phone heard this, he only sneered lightly, but the mockery was very obvious. There was a cold glint in his eyes. Qin Lian did not expect this woman to have the cheek to ask for love. In this world, the person he wanted to end the most was this woman. However, Qin Lian's attitude made Elena furious. Qin Lian, I know your ability. You can make the Qin Corporation grow faster in the future. But now, as long as I want to, the Qin Corporation will go bankrupt. When that time comes, you'll be nothing but a penniless cripple. As for your precious sister, I'll think of ways to make her suffer. Elena, don't court death. The man's voice was filled with endless coldness. I really didn't expect that the first time I've seen you so angry is for your sister. Elena laughed, her voice filled with bewitchment. In that case, Lu Yan, as long as you say that you love me, I'll let this crisis end quickly. How about that? It's also for your sister. These words made the veins on the back of the man's hand pop up. She continued to smile. The hacker you hired can't fight against a hacker organization. Suddenly, the girl who was eavesdropping on the conversation slowly pressed a keyboard. She leaned closer to the speaker and asked with a lazy smile, "Is that what you think?" After this voice was recorded by the computer, Elena and Qin Luyan heard another androgynous voice. Immediately, Elena froze, and Qin Luyan looked surprised. This person was the person he had hired? Who are you? Elena asked immediately, feeling uneasy for some reason. That hacker hired by the Qin family. Bei Yunja's eyes curved into crescents as she said lazily, "This is my first time accepting an order. If there's anything I'm sorry about, please forgive me." These words inexplicably made Elena fall into an unknown fear. Do you know who the hackers around me are? Don't worry, we'll know soon enough. Bei Yunj smirked and hung up the call. Not long after, she walked over to the computer that Zhang Yang had just used and started working. The data and codes in front of him were also constantly changing. This made the hackers who were originally anxious to unlock the computer suddenly see the computer being automatically unlocked. What's going on? What's going on? The internal hackers were having a conversation. They had never encountered such a problem before. They were inexplicably locked and inexplicably unlocked. It was as if they were being controlled by someone. Could it be someone from the Qin group? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.